I'm going to hit that record button and welcome everyone to the second pay-per-view of our Journey of Wrestling Multiplayer League competition. I'm very excited today because we have had some weekly shows in between the last time we were on stream and this time we're sharing together, all of which are going to be available on the YouTube channel. I believe they're all set to private right now. I will unprivate them, assuming that everyone is cool with that, so that y'all can fully keep up with this league and where it's been. But it has been quite the exciting time. Of course, I am joined by two lovely people here today. 2 weeks ago's champion, I should say, champion of the first pay-per-view, Xander. How are you doing, buddy?
As always, I'm doing fantastic. You know, winners only win and all that. But no, all joking aside, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I look forward to another phenomenal pay-per-view evening and battling it out. Glory or go home, of course. We're doing some glory tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I mean, then it was a glorious opening week. You did, there were a three-way tie technically when it came to the pay-per-view's star count, but you did get the most fans because you had the most hype across your event. Did not quite carry over to the weeklies. I did end up grabbing the point for that. So we are tied at 1-1 right now. But someone who is itching for a victory here, someone who would love to take advantage of some of the groundwork he's been laying and turn it into a major show here. Walter, how you doing, buddy?
You know, Chase, you say that, but I am going to continue to push the narrative that I am refusing to play the video game that is in front of me, and I am trying to book good old-fashioned wrestling with storytelling, with narrative, with work rate, and none of this just like wild, hey, let's just throw like 5 championship matches on a weekly show and all of them are going to be death matches. That makes a lot of sense. Like, where is the honor? Where is the audacity? Where is the value behind a death match if you have 2 of them on the fucking card?
Wow. I mean, look, I appreciate...
Get good.
You are the pure wrestling company compared to the rest of us who are here for entertainment. So, you know, we just have different goals. And so far, the fans and the judges may have leaned a little bit more towards one than the other. But every week is a fresh start, right? This is, you know, we do have an overall point standing that we are kind of keeping track of in the sidelines. But all you really need to know is that Xander won the first pay-per-view. I have won the weeklies. Walter and, of course, Eduardo are both competing for a point at this pay-per-view so they can get tied at the top of the board. And, of course, Xander and I would love to establish dominance over the other and the rest of the crew here with a win tonight. Unfortunately, Eduardo cannot be here. It turns out that Project CyberSyn actually worked, and so he has a super advanced computerized decision-making algorithm that's going to be making all of the decisions for his show tonight. So we're going to be putting that to the test, and we'll see how well that helps him out. But I do think we should get into it here because our cards are ready, our competitors are set, and we're just going to go in order based on performance from the first pay-per-view. So Xander, before Walter and I get to critiquing all of the little things about your card, do you want to kind of tell the audience here what your strategy was heading into tonight?
Yeah, of course. So, you know, we had the weeklies that we went through, which we're furthering storylines. We're building up guys like Carson Gold. Of course, Johnny Hangtime, the face of the company, doing his thing. Added a new belt. We've got the Trios belt now, which we didn't have on the last pay-per-view. So, you know, I will say that despite you winning the weeklies, congrats again, but we still had a really strong performance. You know, the Glory of Legends was not that far behind your promotion during the weeklies. We got a lot of these awesome storylines amongst our women wrestlers and, you know, some of the higher end men up there and, you know, showcasing their talent. Simultaneously, we're starting to build some new rivalries and some new feuds here that I cannot wait to show off.
Yeah, well, let's show it off here. as we get to glory or go home. You can see Johnny Hangtime, not surprising that he would be in the corner right here. Front and center for tonight. You know what? The Wrestling Spectator, they can give their predictions, but who cares what they think? It's about what happens in the ring. Do you want to just introduce this 9-way steel cage match that you got going on here before Walter and I give our analysis?
Yeah, absolutely. We got Black Bull, okay, a workhorse here for the program. We got Bruno Henderson, Hiromu Inchi, younger folks that are making their way up. Kyra Valeria, Leah Jacobs, Paisley Overholt, another name that you're going to be hearing a lot of from us. Yeah. Emma Fry, Callie Vicious, who, of course, has become someone in the company that we are looking at that will be doing big things for us. And then Maricela Reyes.
Yes. Now, Walter, when you see a 9-person steel cage match with no title on the line, I imagine this is against everything you stand for, ultimately.
Why? What's the point? What the cage matches are for blood feuds, guys. This is trying to keep the 4 horsemen out of a match between Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair, and there's not even like a contract for a future match. Like, is this just because the reality of this is you are making this some kind of bull-centric, I forget what they call it in Spain, but like a running of the bulls thing, and Black Bull just has to be contained by the cage, or else he's going to harm the viewers? Or
actually, you're not that far off. He is a dangerous worker, unironically. So yes, actually, that is exactly what is happening here. Black Bull, okay. He's also a member of 2 factions that are feuding here. So not for nothing, you actually hit the nail on the head almost. That this is very much what's going on.
And this is a Black Bull win, right? Am I correct?
This is indeed a Black Bull win. His first ever in the promotion. He's kind of gotten beat up in some other matches, but tonight he's bringing home the dub.
He sure does, and he gets a holy shit moment in a near 5-star match. Bruno Henderson takes a little bit of a hit. Honestly, it feels like he should just be happy to be here as a 355 popularity jobber. Like, I don't know what he wanted out of the match, but certainly in terms of hype and in terms of, again, them creativity points, you've got to be feeling pretty good about how this show has started.
Yeah, of course, and Black Bull's faction happy for him to take home the dub tonight.
Now, we do have a ladder match, and this has the Triple Glory Championships on the line. Somehow you managed to fit in 4 feuds with just 3 teams of competitors, which really goes to show the efficiency and how much interconnectedness, perhaps, that carries across your franchise. What can people expect from this match here, Xander?
Yeah, so, we've got some new feuds going. Brigantia, a new trio here. You got Chaos Reigns, of course, which are a notable 3-way that we are working on, and then Menelaus, naturally, the 3 arrows. It's not actually 3 arrows here, but Green Arrow's in it, and the other wrestlers are very, very talented, who we like, Regan Awesome and Gavin Evans. Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on this match.
Yeah, Walter, if you were running Xander's League, who would you be giving the win among these 3?
I mean, you said that the belt is brand new, so, traditionally, you don't want to be hot-shotting your belt all over the place. You want to get it to be a little bit established. You have the new team in Brigantia. You need to build them up a little bit more before they are actually a real challenger for the title. And doing it in a ladder match and with multiple teams is a good way to let everybody get a little bit of shine, but be able to control who's going to win and allow the champions to not really damage the other teams involved. I think you got to keep it on Menelaus.
Well, Xander, would you like to tell Walter where it's going, or would you like me to?
I would like you to.
It is a Brigantia win. Who needs to build them up? They're ready now. And they've taken the title, and it's a near 6-star match. Who cares about your logic? Who cares about a 6% overness, negative overness for Chaos Reigns? Woo, lads. Because that is a hype match. Another holy shit moment. Danny Cole throwing Skullface face first into a ladder in the corner. You will see, obviously, like the Band of Brigands, some mixed feelings because they both lost and won the championship, which is kind of a funny place to be. But you see here, you do take a negative penalty because the reign wasn't very long. But the number of feuds here, the champion that you picked, and the rating of the match means you did still manage to get a positive experience boost to your championship. So I don't know what to tell you, Walter. We clearly did not see what the brilliance that Xander had in store for this one.
Yeah, Go ahead.
Yes, you guys continue to break all of the rules of how wrestling is supposed to work, but I guess when you put a bunch of really good tag teams into a ladder match, like it's gonna just be beautiful. So I don't know.
It sure was, and Matt Robinson's almost over with the fans. He's working on it, so we'll see if Matt Robinson gets some more love moving forward. But right now we have the men's lightweight championship in a battle royale. You had a choice, actually, whether you wanted to put in the men's lightweight championship. I'm getting this confused with a different match in another card.
Sorry.
But this is men's lightweight for sure, and you've got quite the crew here. Xander, who are the people that we should really be watching for in terms of winning this?
So really watching here tonight, we've got Wijaya. Okay, let me start from the top. We've got Phil Hangtime. Okay, we've got one of the Hangtime brothers who is the penultimate young talent here in our company. I mean, he is someone that we have a lot of hope on the line for. But we've also got guys like Wijaya, who's a phenomenal heel for us. We have a Zaki Cordova, someone else that has been putting in a ton of work for the promotion. You guys just saw a great match from Regan Awesome and Love Hendricks in the trio. And then we have also Gaijo Jade, who's another fantastic, high-performing wrestler. Everybody thrown into this one is a great worker. They're folks that know exactly what their role is within the company. Some of them are on their way up. Some of them may be on their way down. I may or may not, make fun of Deputy Newland here a little bit. He does have the comedy angle, but he is a bit of a beat stick for Phil Hangtime and a few others here. So, again, we've got guys on their way up, guys on their way out. And tonight, of course, there's no change. It's Phil Hangtime. It's always Phil Hangtime.
It is Hangtime all the time for this company. And here we go. It is a 4.5-star match. You saw the For Glory feud between the Hangtime Empire and Vindislaga became hot, as is the feud between Regan Awesome and Wijaya. So these are both some great things to have here. I will say, and I'd be curious if you would agree with me here, Walter. I think the Hangtime supremacy that is dominated early, we're at a risk of diminishing returns if they don't see a real challenger soon. Do you agree with that?
We're only 2 pay-per-views into this. How do you mean we're gonna have diminishing returns?
Okay.
He's been a champion for a month. What are you talking about?
I don't mean just Phil Hangtime. I mean all of the Hangtimes. They're all champions everywhere they go. It's Hangtime this, Hangtime that. It's the Hangtime show featuring some other wrestlers sometimes. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe that has nothing to do with why we got a 4.5-star match here, and I'm just I'm just not, it's just Battle Royale sometimes can get messy with this number of people. But I'm curious if that becomes a trend as we look through the rest of this card. But right now we've got a match with no hang times involved. It is the Women's Lightweight Championship. And Xander, tell us about this one.
Yeah, so, okay, you've got Heika Imoto, the current champion, the reigning belt holder, with her manager, Asahi King, legendary face of a company here, and they have a good battle tonight. We've built some new stuff up. You've got Korosaru, who was someone that has been in this consistently as that heel, but now, of course, we've got Anastasia on her way up. Jade Gatlin's still in there, and Hinata Shiroki, someone that has, been arguably battling Heika as an equal face here, talent. But, what do you guys think?
I mean, immediately I think I see 5 4-star workers and I feel like you're going to have a good time. It's a submission match, and those aren't always as consistent, but you have been hard grinding submission matches during the weekly shows, and I believe you already have it as a gold standard event, if I remember
I do believe
correctly.
I do, correct, yes.
So, Walter, where do you think this belt's going, and what are your thoughts as you see this match?
Now, here's the thing. Submission matches are unpredictable, right? And I know there's some like, oh, well, a ladder match, it's a similar concept, right? Maybe you get really, really lucky and you got somebody in just the right chokehold, and not only are they going to tap out, but maybe instead they pass out, right? Maybe instead they don't want to lose. And most of the times when you have these multi-person matches, somebody else is going to be who comes in to save you. And maybe instead you're like, okay, nobody else is going to let this person win, so I'm not going to try as hard to try and get to the rope and break it. I'm not going to try and hard to struggle to get out, knowing that somebody else might be here in a second. And every once in a while, you get caught up with that. You get caught in a guillotine, and you're done. So this could go to anyone. I, again, think the belts are too new. You want to try and keep some consistency. But if I was going to hazard a guess that if it doesn't stay with Emoto, I would say Korosaru would be my guess.
It's a solid guess, but unless something has changed since you last talked to me, Xander,
Nope.
I believe
It's Haika, yeah. And I will say I did actually very, very hard debate myself about whether or not to give it to Korosaru, but I'm glad we gave it to Haika tonight. Look at that performance.
there it is. That's a near 6-star match. Your second near 6-star match of the night. You're looking at the crowds is interested. The blood is palpable. Everyone got over. Everyone got a morale boost. Everyone became more popular as a result of this one. And that hot match, I mean, that's the benefit of having multiple feuds, some of which are inherently hot, playing off against each other. You're more likely, if the feud is already hot, to have more hot matches, and that snowball effect can take a couple really good feuds and turn them into some incredible ones. And this is certainly, I mean, that's everything you could ask for from a match as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah. And the crowd, I'm glad the crowd loved it. You know, this is the women's lightweight, so this isn't even, you know, in theory, our highest performers. But you see there, our women's roster is extremely talented. Yeah. And we're very happy that they can put on a match like that.
Absolutely. We are going to head back to the men. It is the return to the Glory Belt Championship. Now, Xander, I believe you have some strong feelings about one Kenny Diaz here. Do you want to explain to people who did not see what happened after the stream wrapped why Kenny Diaz is in the doghouse right now?
So, after the stream wrapped, and I gave Kenny Diaz a belt that he didn't deserve, apparently, he asked the promotion if he could have several months off because he was so tired from the 1 month of work that he put in for our promotion, and that he just was so deserving, you know, because he had put in so much time and effort and energy in that 1 month. And I told him, hey, get back to work. And he said, okay, I'm going to leave the promotion. And so we'll be blunt. Kenny Diaz is on his way out. And so with that being said, Walter, I'd love to hear your thoughts about what's going to happen in this match.
Yeah, you know, let Kenny Diaz leave. Just let Kenny Diaz leave. Let him leave. I got no problem with that. I am also, as we will see in a little while, properly punishing someone who had the audacity to ask me to do something for that. Totally different situation. I didn't put a belt on him, but, you know, I think here, you know, the name that sticks out to me is Xander Cage. Maybe it's because he shares a name with you. Maybe. But I don't know. There's just something about that. Putting it onto a heel, letting some of these other guys continue working their way up. This could easily be I'm going to just throw it on somebody for now, and then maybe we'll have, you know, a one-on-one or a ladder match or something else at the next pay-per-view. But yeah, get that belt off Kenny Diaz. Get him out of your company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with that more. I will be honest. I looked at Jay Avalon. Jay Avalon's a guy who did a lot of good work for me in the league. That was like my trial run before we did this all together. And he is a 4-4. He's 29 years old, relatively popular, could be a main eventer if given a bit of a push. But that's not the direction you went, Xander, is it?
It is not. Not tonight. I do have a battle planned between Jay Avalon and tonight's winner, which is going to be Vince Rivera.
It sure is. And that is, I mean, it's a 5-star match. You take a little bit of a penalty because Kenny Diaz is being a little shit. But honestly, Who cares about that? His morale's going low. It's already at 15. It doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that the crowd digged it. You got a nice bonus again for this being steel cage. No holy shit moment, but also no penalty for the short reign on the Return to Glory belt. I feel like you can get away with it a little bit more with these bronze prestige belts. And I don't know how purposeful this was, but I want to give you credit for making the bronze belts the one that we've seen some turnover on, because I think that is, if you're going to do that,
I will say it was a bit more intentional, because I wanted to make sure that if I'm going to take a hit on a belt, it should be one that doesn't have as much prestige. And so, yeah, so that does end up being the case here for those two belts. That being said, there may or may not be one more belt change. You don't know. Okay, we'll see what happens.
It's very possible. You can see Kenny Diaz still has the sign of having the belt. That is obviously no longer true. The game just doesn't know how to adjust its graphics. But we do have the men's cruiserweight here. Executioner Goro is your champion and is a faction leader, if I recall correctly.
Correct, you are correct.
But quite the competition he has in front of him. Tell me about this Battle Royale.
Yeah, I mean, very bluntly, Executioner Goro, one of our, upper end guys, and as a result, for this cruiserweight, we've got him with a whole roster of upper end guys, some that are in his faction, some that are in other factions. You've got Kaiman Nomura, you've got Sho Fujino, Braden Castle, who's been huge for our promotion, especially in the tag team. Gaijo Jade, again, someone that you folks have seen. A couple of these guys were just in that last match. Vince Rivera, of course, himself, now holding the belt, is up here. Matt Robinson, Sebastian Chaos, Coda Super, someone that has just gotten some recent wins in the weeklies. And so we've got folks here. We are building up. I will also shout out one more huge performer for us, Serpentine Suprema, who I will admit was not someone we had high hopes for when we drafted them, but they are rapidly becoming someone that we can build around, and so, yeah. So, I've got a lot of talented wrestlers here in this one, and I was torn on it. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts.
I mean, I just feel like keeping the belt on people, especially at a lesser valuable pay-per-view, right? At a bronze level pay-per-view. I feel like that's just the way to go. Clearly, I'm not going to pick Kenny Diaz. I am a little curious about the decision to put wrestlers in back-to-back matches. They're going to be exhausted. But I think that the easy answer here is just keep it on Executioner Goro. Let him keep cooking with it. And again, maybe you got somebody, one or two people in the next pay-per-view that are really going to be a strong challenger.
Look, I love Serpentine Suprema. He put in some real work for me in my other league after I gave him a heel turn. Obviously, I don't think you have the same plan given your face heel makeup, but on the verge, he's at 804. You want him to maintain his role as a main eventer, but Executioner Goro is the guy, and I think if I'm seeing the tracks you're laying down, I see this as a guy that you're potentially going to push as the face of the company one day if he can keep this up. He is so beloved. He is so talented, both work rate and charisma wise, and so Executioner Goro to the moon makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and that's what we're keeping for tonight. Executioner Goro to the moon. Obviously, we're hoping everybody else is pretty happy with this match, but yeah, Kenny Diaz, we knew he was going to take a hit. I'll be honest, the reason he's in this match is because we don't like Kenny Diaz. So,
you wanted to watch Kenny Diaz lose, but it may have come at the expense of the overall ratings. A little bit.
All right.
It's a very small negative, to be honest with you. I can't even see the blip on this star, so I think it's just your battle royales, for whatever reason, have not connected as much with your audience. They love your submission matches. They love your steel cage matches. But battle royales, maybe you need a little bit more practice with them to get the maximum event. Yeah,
and that's okay. And listen, we had some tired workers in a couple of them, but
holy
did we get a holy shit moment?
You sure did.
Let's
Executioner Goro on Braden Castle with a lariat that knocked his head off. You do love to see that. That's your third holy shit of the night. And
obviously Goro will be yelled at about that, and because it's not Kenny Diaz.
Yeah, I mean, that's the real... Yeah, we will be having a discussion later about why wasn't that Kenny Diaz, but At the end of the day, you know, Braden Castle getting a little bit of extra love in that moment, we're also happy with, because again, that's someone we have a lot of high expectations for. I will be honest, our cruiserweight division right now, the folks that we have vying for this belt, these are people that we have are most promising up and comers. And so anybody you see in here, even though it's a huge match, they're people we've got a lot to come for them.
Yeah, and this is one of those things. If you're not playing the game, if you're not familiar with Journey of Wrestling, you may not inherently recognize this. But this game has some very strong feelings when you don't include a wrestler in a pay-per-view. The wrestlers are not happy about not being included, and the fans can sometimes have very strong reactions of like, oh, if this wrestler isn't at the pay-per-view, I don't have to care about them. It can lead to surprisingly large popularity hits, as I have experienced in my time, which is something I shared with y'all in that way too long document I put together way back in the day. I do think the Battle Royales are a great way to circumvent that, right? It gets a lot of people involved in the pay-per-view, and even if they're going to take like a little bit of a hit because the Battle Royale didn't go their way, it's probably a lot less of a hit than they're going to take if they're not there at all. And I think that's something that you've hit on
I
very well.
will say, yeah, and I just want to touch on that real quick. Morale has been an issue for some of our guys. We've had a couple of people during the weeklies, in order to build the narratives, take some big hits. And while they weren't, completely unhappy like Kenny Diaz yet, and they weren't even content, they were still happy. They were edging down there, and we wanted to keep that from getting worse. So I think that the Battle Royales were a good metric tonight to make sure that they stay motivated for the program we got going here.
Yeah, but for now, we've got the Tag Belt Championship. We see a hang time in here, so I think I know where this event's going to go, but do you want to try to talk me into these other tag teams? Do we even want to pretend here?
We got Castle Crashers, which is Braden Castle and his brother DJ, and again, they are very gifted wrestlers, very talented, fantastic tag team for us. Set Fire, which is one that we really do hope to continue building up. It's Executioner Goro once again, but also Sho Fujino, who is someone that is in that faction there with Executioner Goro. They want to burn it all down. So that is essentially a faction leading tag team right there. You're going to see a lot more of it. And then I'll be honest, Lethal Weapon here, you got the two Lethals. They're backed by Asahi. They are on the come up, which is why we let them even show their faces in this match, despite their popularity difference. Yeah. They are making good moves, and they've been putting in the work in the weeklies to try and improve. But we'll be honest, tonight it's going to Hang Time Heresy. I won't even mess with y'all. I don't need you guys to debate here. It's Hang Time Heresy.
It is Hang Time Heresy, and luckily it is a match where everyone's a little bit more over as a result. I don't think Executioner Goro liked losing. He's not used to that being what happens when he goes to a pay-per-view. But every other stat was a positive. Walter, what do you think about this choice here? Was this the right way to handle this match?
Listen, you clearly have an idea here. And I think building up the hang times as much as you are is going to give you some really good options for later on. Maybe we have a hang time Civil War brewing future down the line.
There may or may not be a older brother, youngest brother, and two middle brother tag teams already set up. Hang Time Empire and Hang Time Heresy. That may or may not be a thing that's already happened in the promotion.
I can see that coming. I think it's important to note, another holy shit moment. Elliot Hang Time and Sho Fujino with a battle of the forearms before they kicked each other's heads off. But also Eric Hang Time, officially above 1,000 points. He is on his way to becoming a face of the company. He's got to keep that 1,000 popularity or greater for 6 months in a row. But once he does that, he gets that nice face of the company star. And that is a huge popularity boost in terms of how well the crowd will react to every match that he's in. So he is well on his way to joining his brother as a face of your company. So Hang Time supremacy remains firmly intact as we head into our men's heavyweight championship. Tell us about it.
All right, so men's heavyweight this time. We've got a couple different wrestlers in here. You know, Kai took a bit of a hit, and we did build him back up in the last one. Kai, really talented heel for us, is someone that has fought at the highest level, and is consistently gaming it. So you're gonna keep seeing Kai a ton, but we've also got Alex Jim, who is someone that we have a lot of hope of to continue grinding. Got this belt last time, right? So has only had it for a month and has only wrestled the one solo match in which he won the belt. So you haven't gotten to see a lot of him yet, but that's why we're pairing these wrestlers together. They're all talented workers. They're all charismatic as well. And these are folks that are going to continue out the battles. Like we said about the cruiserweight division, some of our most talented wrestlers, this division right here are those guys that you will not stop seeing. And I will tell you, anybody here could win this one tonight. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm curious about the thoughts here with having guys compete in multiple matches in a night. I'm wondering why, because you're using up their fatigue, right? You're making them work harder when we do have such large rosters. Like, I look here, Serpentine Suprema, if this was his first match, I think I might say he's my pick, right? He would be my favorite to win this, especially, you know, how you talked about earlier, he wasn't someone that you guys saw could, you know, potentially be a big, you know, a big deal here in the company, but they've really impressed you. And again, on a bronze level pay-per-view, this would be the great time to sort of reward that good worker and give him a shot. But this is your heavyweight championship, so you probably want to keep it on Alex Jim, keep it on the champion. That way you have a pretty good win record, and maybe Serpentine Suprema, maybe it's at the next pay-per-view where we get that one-on-one where he can try and prove that he's better than Alex Jim, and you know, somebody else takes the pin here.
Yeah, so real quick, just to talk on why we use some of these guys so much. So the Battle Royales, obviously, it kind of require you to have a lot of wrestlers. And when we're thinking about who to reward tonight, you know, we wanted to reward the guys that have been working the hardest. And the folks that get the most screen time, if you will, are the folks that we have the most anticipation of. You know, which is why you see Serpentine again, you're seeing Alexandre again, you're seeing Skullshot again. And Kai, of course, you know, he's a very talented guy. He's on his way to becoming face of the company.
Well, he is face of the company. He is one of your two people heading into this match that had it. It was him and Johnny Hangtime. And so, you know, to me, my concern in this match would be giving Kai Galvano a loss, because if he dips below 1,000 at this pay-per-view, then he is no longer a face of the company. You have to hold it for 6 months to get it, but it takes 1 month for you to lose it. But I believe you're giving this to Alex Jim, right? That's where this is headed?
I am giving this to Alex Jim. It's going to Alex Jim.
And luckily for you, it's a near 6-star match again. Everyone morale boost, everyone overness boost, everyone with a popularity boost, including Kai. Obviously less so for him. But that gives Alex Jim, he's going to go into the high 900s at this point. He's now only a pay-per-view or two away from becoming a face of the company. So, once again, I don't know why I was concerned. It seems to have worked out really well for you.
What can I say? This game loves me. And it loves our promotion. And it you know, we just... Alex Jim, Kai Galvano. Listen, again, the feud that started tonight between those two, you're gonna see it. Regardless of how tonight went, it was a feud that you were gonna see over and over, because these are two high-level guys. And Alex Jim, again, we built him up knowing that he was going to be one of those folks that can continuously battle with the face of the company. He's also, I want to point out, he's a neutral wrestler. So he's someone that we can really use in a very versatile way, whether he's wrestling a heel, wrestling a face, wrestling on behalf of a faction, any of that. And so him having the night that he had tonight, we're very happy with.
It is a fascinating spot. I think it's a reminder, and I'm pointing this out because our lovely pal Eduardo will catch up on this. Look at the number of feuds that you've started tonight, right? Look at the number of feuds that are being furthered in each of these matches. I have to imagine that's adding to the hype. I have to imagine that's adding to the likelihood that some of these matches go hot. And when we look at these big moments of yours, we have seen multiple put on a hot match, hot match, hot match, hot match. And that's how you get a hot pay-per-view. That's just how you do it, folks. But here we have, this is a much more traditional format. This is a Walter bread and butter move. It is a women's heavyweight championship. It is 2 people, and it's a death match. A death match, if you will. So tell us, Emily Everett versus Ume. Why should people be hyped for this one?
So Emily Everett, face of the company, our most talented, woman wrestler here, has been holding the belt, has Asahi King once again, who pretty much only picks winners, though I will say that she is also managing the lethal marks, or the lethal weapon. But Asahi has been a force, and I want to point out actually to one of our awesome matches that we had during the weeklies. Asahi was the guest referee, Asahi was a guest referee in one, and Emily in another. So both of them influencing other matches in the women's card. And right now we've got the only monster matchup with Ume Amiko, who is arguably the next most talented wrestler to Emily. 904 popularity, but just genuinely a monster in her own right, which is why she's here. We're building this feud up. And I do believe it's gone on for one other week, but it's something that we have been excited to run. And the death match being the most expensive match we have put in for a card that either of them have been in is also something we want to highlight.
I will also highlight, just as someone, because Ume Amiko, you may notice, her gimmick is that she is a twin. I have the other twin, who is also going to be prominently featured in a match tonight. And also, their last name is spelled differently, which is one of my favorite things about this particular mod. They are twins, and they just missed one of the I's. I'm not sure whether it's meant to be Amikio or Amiko, but here we stand. Walter,
Dad filled out the birth certificate for one of them.
You're goddamn right he did. Oh my goodness. Well, I imagine, Walter, you're in favor of keeping it on Emily this time around?
But here actually is a great example where I will say it's not a feud ender. So again, a death match. Okay, can we gotten something else and finish the feud with a death match? I don't know. Maybe you and Eduardo, all your feuds are just going to finish with singles matches. Maybe that's the point. Build up the feud to its peak and then just do a one-on-one singles match and see what happens. I don't know. But I'm okay with it here. Putting monsters against each other and saying, you know what? Use barbed wire, use baseball bats, use literally whatever you want. Kill each other for the entertainment of the fans. You can't go wrong with it. And I think, you keep the women's belt on Emily Everett and keep building this feud and keep building your face of the company.
Yeah, I imagine you're comfortable with me locking that in. Hell yeah.
I am indeed.
And there you go. It's another 5+ star match. It is a popularity boost for both of them, which you'll love to see. It's another hot match. You sure are getting that text a whole bunch. And another holy shit moment. Your 5th of the night in 9 matches.
Emily good, because that death match was expensive. We got to get some of that money back.
It sure was. But Emily put Ume through the announcement table with an elbow drop from the top rope. That's how you get them each some overness boosts there. And yeah, this is, look, you look at that credits total here, and you haven't even finished out your card. You're doing just fine, my friend.
I'm doing all right. We're doing all right.
But we are at the Emperor's Belt Championship. This is the core of your franchise. You did no production packages tonight. You were the one person who did not do anything with production. You're like, I'm doing matches, and they're going to be the best matches I can put together. So how does this match round out your evening here?
Yeah, so first of all, just on that strategy, we saw some stuff go on this week in terms of people putting out production packages. And then I'll also, just be blunt that myself and the Red Shirt King here may or may not be in another league practicing some stuff and doing some shenanigans with production that may or may not have influenced this decision. But tonight, it was our pay-per-view, and I'll be honest, I wanted to bring home the win tonight. So I put the money on the table. I got our most talented wrestlers to throw down, some of them in multiple matches. We got some new feuds going, some hot feuds. You see the hot matches as a result. And even though we knew we were keeping some belts on most of the folks tonight, we wanted everything to feel intense, to feel high level. And we still wanted guys to get a lot of experience that maybe, are on the lower end for some of these matches, which is why you saw that in our cruiserweight. You saw that in the women's lightweight, and you saw that in the men's heavyweight. And I'll be honest, this match is no different. Johnny Hangtime, face of the company. You guys kind of know that it's hang time around here. Like, that's what time it is. But we've got Carson Gold, who is someone that won a battle royale, came out of left field, but the promotion loves him, the fans love him, and we wanted to get him in here. Kaima Nomura, another guy who you guys have seen lose twice tonight already, but has been a workhorse for the promotion, showing up when he needs to and demonstrate, and almost every match he's been in has been a hot match. And then Alexis Kovac, the last person in here, has been battling for multiple belts. Alexis Kovac has been battling for multiple belts, but just not coming away with it because the other guys are a little bit more talented. So I do think you guys probably know where this one's going, but I just wanted to explain why we've got the folks in that we do.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like Kaima Nomura a lot. I'm a little worried that this is going to be his third loss of the night. Is he still going to be a main eventer? Who can say? I like what you're doing with Carson Gold. I wish his charisma was a little higher, but I think he is well beloved by the fans at this point. He is you've put in the work. He is now the 4-3, and I think has some great potential there. And Alexis Kovac, like, he is someone that when you're ready to use him, he is ready to become a face of the company for you. I think he has that potential as a 4-4, already at over 900 popularity. But Walter, is anyone surprised that this is going to Johnny Hangtime?
Absolutely not. But again, on one of these smaller, less important pay-per-views, getting some of these people you're thinking about for the future in front of the fans, seeing what the fan reaction is going to be like for him. Who knows? Maybe Carson Gold really, really captures the fans here. And now for your next pay-per-view, you're wondering, do I have my main event? And do I have to end my hang time supremacy a little bit earlier than I planned on it? Or maybe, you can keep building up. They can keep having some bangers. And in 6 months, you finally let Carson Gold finish the story and take the belt off of Johnny Hangtime. But it won't be tonight. It's staying with Johnny Hangtime.
Yep.
It sure is. And it's another hot match. That's another, everybody's getting the popularity. Everyone's getting the overness. It's 5.5 stars. And the good news for us in testing this, because behind the scenes, Xander, you and I were a little worried about this card, specifically because you had a feud between factions that you could not get around that was already at the peak. And it seems like by blowing it off at the very first match of the night, you actually have avoided taking a staleness penalty, which is, you're getting the best of both worlds. You're still getting credit for that feud. We're still, or actually, no, it is not going.
No, you don't get credit for the feud, but it didn't penalize me, importantly, and I was able to blow it off in that earlier match and still have it be hot, still have it be big, but without taking the huge penalty there.
Well, and look at the rewards. Johnny Hangtime reversed Carson Gold's finisher, cursed at him and hit his own for a bonus. Another holy shit moment. You're 6th of the night, I believe.
Yeah, I do believe it's 6.
That sure is 6. You've also gotten street fights now to a gold star, which means unsanctioned matches, LMS matches, and ambulance matches are all yours, which is something that I know several people have wanted to do and have not been able to do, because you've got to get it that gold first, the way that those unlock trees work in this game. You have put in the work to get it there, and oh boy, is it going to open up some opportunities for you. In addition to just like now all your street matches are cheaper, so it's even that much easier to just throw some street fights.
And I'll be honest, our promotion loves the street fights. Anyone that tuned into the weeklies knows our promotion loves those street fights.
They sure do. I think overall you're in a really good spot. For the people, maybe took a little bit of a reputation hit, but every other faction that you have, I think overall gained more than they lost. I think your belts all saw an increase, and Walter, any final thoughts on the card while we tally up the points here?
No, I think this was a fucking banger of a card. Obviously, the over 6-star rating that you're over 5-star rating you're gonna get here. I just wonder, did you maybe waste some really good stuff on a bronze level pay-per-view? Is this gonna pay off long term with especially how much you spent? But I think tonight, you can be pretty happy and pretty content with what you guys did. You put on a hell of a show.
And look at that. You have over 1,000 creativity points once again. I don't think you've had that since the opening week.
I have not. Yep, that's a big night for us.
That's what happens when you get 6 holy shit moments. That's a 400 creativity point card if you include the points for the 5.25 stars. And a incredible start to our night tonight. Thank you. You have set the bar. And it is now going to be my job to do my best to match it, because I will be going second. I did get second at the pay-per-view last time, and I'm excited for my card. I took a slightly different strategy. I didn't have as many battle royales, so I do have, I believe, one. But I sure had a lot of belt matches. And a lot of matches with a bunch of people thrown in there. It was very similar to my strategy from the first pay-per-view, just some different combinations and trying to make sure that all of my big people got in front of the fans here. So hopefully people are still excited by what I have to put together, and we'll see how that plays out. But we start good old Firestorm here. I like this belt. Print's pretty pink. Looking fantastic, as he always does.
That's great. Yeah, that's a great opening image.
So we're going to start. This is a 4-way tag submission match. You can see there are 2 female tags, 2 male tags here. So, we're not going to split this up by gender for this kind of exhibition match, if you will. A nice opener to the card. Rude Awakening, Alana Elise, and Tijuana King. 2 workers who I think are a little bit lower on the card, but great workhorses. Always willing to show up and really put in that extra work. Shots fired, you can describe very similarly with Denise Watson and Wendy Blank. Denise Watson, of course, I believe she is the one... Oh, excuse me, I misspoke. Wendy Blank is the one who is part of the Chosen Ones trio that currently holds the belt and who I've been told to turn into main eventers, which may be a minor spoiler for where this is going to go. But of course you have the men's as well, right? Unlimited, 0-3, but incredible workers, well liked by the fans, and Bryson Pierce and Evan Zane, and Savage Vengeance, who are the highest rated workers of the night. Jan Sanake and Riku Inoki, people who have proven they know how to put on a good match. Where are y'all putting this if you're the one in charge of booking this submission match here?
I'll go first. This one's difficult because I think you got a lot of talented folks in here. I can see that you're working to build some of these up. And I do think that your top 2 tags in this one, of course, are Unlimited and Savage Vengeance. It would probably be nice for Unlimited to get a win here. They're 0-3. Savage Vengeance is 1-2. And they look, a little bit happier. Their overness is also really close, though. Probably 1 or 2 wrestlers in there, maybe just not quite over. But Unlimited is who I would give it to tonight. They're the youngest. They deserve the win. They could use the win, and I think it will benefit the most in terms of who's on this card. But I'm happy to hear Walter's thoughts.
See, I'm going to choose very, very similar kind of reasons. I'm going to go with Savage Vengeance, right? I think you always want to build up heels, right? It is much easier to tell a story about baby faces chasing after heels, whether it's for belts, whether it's for dynamite rings, anything. The quicker you can get your heels up the card and the quicker people buy into them as being villains, then the more sympathetic your baby faces are going to look when they are fighting against them. And in all honesty, a submission match, you need cruelty, right? You need to be putting your opponent's bodies into these weird positions where they just have to give up because of the amount of pain that they're being put in. And that's a heel thing. So I'm going to go with Savage Vengeance. That would be my pick.
You know, you've both made some excellent arguments. Unfortunately, both of you are wrong because corporate mandate implies that the chosen ones do not lose. And here you go. It's a near 5-star match despite not having any major players involved. We do get a holy shit moment thanks to Wendy Blank, making the fans go crazy here. And you're looking here, right? 3 people got overness buffs that are starting to get them over with the fans. We are looking at 3 people that might be making that leap to get extra stars across the board. So, was it the strongest possible match? No, but given there was no belt involved, and given that these are, you know, the most popular group is still not a main eventer here, I'm going to take that as a win, to be honest with you. I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah. No, I think it's something to be happy about. Obviously, corporate demanding some stuff. The big thing here for me is that everyone's happy about it, and you get the holy shit moment.
And Savage Vengeance versus Unlimited. That's a hot feud. That's one I plan on.
We're right about the feud at the end of the day too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the feud that ultimately is going to go from here, right? When I think about the main event, because at the big gold pay-per-view at the next stream that we do in 2 weeks, that's going to be the core of it, right? It's going to be every belt has to get featured. I don't have a Triple Glory belt tonight. I don't have my trio belt because I wanted them to be involved in different kinds of matches. So,
which is totally valid,
yeah.
and a good strategy, I think, for you tonight.
But we do go to the Flame Warlock Championship. This is my men's kind of mid-card belt. La Bestia del Infierno, obviously the Hell Beast, is a force to be reckoned with. He's only wrestled at the one pay-per-view, but oh boy, did he make it count. Fuerza de Dragon, obviously another incredible wrestler, someone the fans absolutely love. But, you know, Walter, I gotta be honest, this is one of those, I don't think I can give Fuerza a win over Bestia yet, because I do feel like you gotta give the heel that kind of commanding force before the faces can overcome them. But unfortunately for Bestia, there are some good heels here that could be competing against him in that regard. Jackson Hall, the killer, at that 73 overness, just snuck into the main event right now, has yet to compete in a solos match. But if he did win a match like this, this could be the thing that gets him over, that gets him to that 4-4 skill, and having another 4-4, obviously very helpful to have in a game like this. Jay Xavier, obviously a great worker, not as beloved by the fans. Maybe that Space Invader gimmick needs to be reevaluated, but look at the workers here between Lucas Meltzer and Alpha Jackson. Peak masculinity, Alpha Jackson, the 19-year-old 4-4 heel. I am curious, I'll start with you this time, Walter. Where do you think this match should go?
Oh, it's going to stay with La Bestia del Inferno. There's no reason to take it off of him, especially when he is so close to becoming one of the faces of your company. Let it ride. Build that monster up. Then let a babyface beat him, and now you have another monster heel that's towards the top of your card, and maybe you're moving him into your main event scene, right? Into your main event title picture, and you get a babyface that wins, puts on a couple of nice matches on pay-per-views, and then he comes in and just eats them alive after getting some wins back. There is no reason to take this belt off of him now, unless your intention is that, 3 or 4 months from now, you want him to have the main belt.
What about you, Xander? Do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I do think you give it to La Bestia del Infierno. He's talented. He's got the high popularity. You want to keep him happy, I think, early on. But I do think it was very intelligent for you, to keep Fuerza de Dragon in here. But also, I love Lucas Meltzer and Alpha Jackson in here. I think Lucas Meltzer, being the work that he is with the face, young guys, low popularity, but someone that being in matches like this benefits from enormously. And then Alpha Jackson is also someone I would love to see you build up. 19-year-old, right? 19-year-old 4-4 with 815 popularity. That guy's going to be a monster in short time. So if you weren't going to give it to La Bestia, that's who I would give it to. But I still think it goes to La Bestia tonight.
It sure does go to La Bestia, but I do like Alpha Jackson a lot. I do like that peak masculinity is portrayed as a heel here. I think that matches. And look at that! Near
Almost a
six-star
six-star
match. Let's fucking go.
Holy shit.
Look, everyone's a little bit more over as a result. Everyone's morale is a little bit higher. You know what? I don't care if this means that a couple people lost a couple points in popularity. None of them lost enough to go down a tier. So this can all be fixed in time, but La Bestia going over, he is now on his way to becoming a face of the company.
Let's go.
And that was the goal here. The goal is to let La Bestia not only become a face of the company, but build this Flame Warlock feud up. I want him to keep this reign going, such that by the time that he gives it up, Flame Warlock is not a bronze belt anymore, it's a silver belt, because he made it something worth attaining. That's the goal here. He's going to continue to be a force to be reckoned with. And I couldn't be happier with how strongly he's developed in this match. But of course, that leads to my Battle Royale, aka the everyone else match of the evening. Because...
The everyone else match, you love to see it.
I did every other match first, and I said, you know what? These are all people, I'd rather them be on the card at all than not be. And unfortunately, I did not have the points to make my own gimmick match the way that one of our other lovely contestants may have for a future pay-per-view. So I don't have some, match, cash-in contract for them to take away. This is purely for bragging rights and to kind of establish themselves as the next one up, right? When you think of next one up, you think of a guy like Sammy Emerald. Sammy Emerald is an incredible wrestler who you could argue was held back by the tag team that he was in, someone who's started to get a little bit more individual time and is right on the verge of being a main eventer. You're talking about guys like Derek Nash, the Extreme King, also right on the verge there. Yellow Arrow. If it was up to me, he and his brother Red Arrow would be the tag team champions at the moment, but the game gave his brother an injury, and so here he stood just waiting for his opportunity, waiting for his moment to take...
Blaming the game. I see how it is.
It was a 0.01% chance. I can't stress enough.
But it wasn't a 0.00% chance.
You're right.
Okay? Did you think about that?
That was the other injury that represented a 0.0 on the screen. You're right. You are technically correct. But yeah, look, River Dannenberg's in another place like Arrow, right? Like a win and a nice one could get him on the overness counter, could get him to the next popularity tier. And you can keep going with guys like Asher Collins, who's a great wrestler, right on the cusp there. Ali Noble, maybe not as popular, kind of has the same problem as Joey Smoking Gun Ace, but a great worker all the same. Mikey Dolan, a lot of great wrestlers here. Michael Himalayan, a guy who I think a lot of people sleep on, but he's not far away from potentially getting a run worth a big boost here. So... Xander, I'll go to you first this time. Who would you give this to in a match where a lot of people could really benefit from a win?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, this is rough. There are so many talented guys here. I like Brady Killjoy. I like, Michael Himalayan maybe and Devin Moxley, again, lower end guys that could use it. I really do like Mikey Dolan. That's a 18-year-old heel who is getting close to being over. Grim Oxley, another young guy close to getting over. Asher Collins, another young guy close to getting over. River Dannenberg, again, so many good folks here. I would probably give it, if it were up to me, to Grim Oxley. That name jumps out at me. It seems like someone you can build up. It seems like someone fans will get behind. He's almost there. He could also benefit from the morale, a little bit because he's at 69. Nice, and so that's who I would give it to tonight.
What about you, Walter? I want to see if you're on my same wavelength here, because I will say right now, Grim Oxley was definitely a contender, but he is not my pick to win tonight.
Honestly, I just love Joey Smoking Gun. I love the name, right? I love it. I was really jealous when you selected him over me. I think he might have been my next pick after you had picked there. But I think it's either Joey Smoking Gun Ace or maybe Devin Moxley. Those are the two that are standing out to me. But I would say Joey Smoking Gun Ace would be my favorite.
You know what? I appreciate where you're coming from on that. It is a great name. I always worry with his overness. It does not seem like the fans like him as much as someone named Joey Smoking Gun Ace, who has a gimmick that high. I just wonder if he's the kind of person that alienates fans on social media. I don't know how else to explain why a guy with a gimmick that good is so not over with the fans. But look, while you both made great arguments, I'm giving it to Yellow Arrow because I want the magic missiles to be as high as they possibly can for Red Arrow's return for the pay-per-view next month. And look at that 5.5-star match as a result. I look at Yellow Arrow and I say to myself, if I can get him over or close to over, the pop-off that the fans are going to have if they can retake the title at the next Gold pay-per-view, that's the long-term play that I'm looking at. And it seems like the fans are here for it. He's starting to get over with them. We have a couple feuds that have become hot over time. I haven't gotten a second holy shit moment. Bryce Dannenberg bleeding did not ultimately help me in this regard, but I did get some nice experience for a Battle Royale, and I think with a 5.5-star match, I'm going to call that a win.
Yeah, you take whatever wins you can get, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And speaking of taking the wins where you can get them, this is the Keepers of the Realm, my female tag division championships. We saw a couple female tags earlier tonight. You can see Shooting Stars here, Malachite Bronson and Cyan Orion. They are our current champions. Two people who really proved themselves at the last pay-per-view. Very strong workers, mostly charismatic on the mic. But people that, the fans are still growing to love. In the same way, I described Flying High as a group that, the people are growing to love. Ai Hakai is a very talented wrestler. Davida is part of that Chosen Ones trio that we talked about earlier, that corporate really, really likes. But of course, there is the Scourge of the Underdark faction that's sending out Kai Hong Ki and Kaio Jade. These are two people who are very talented at big events. They are tag specialists. They know how to work with each other, and they know how to do so with the bright lights on them. They're not the most popular, and they're not the greatest workers, but they are the Scourge of the Underdark's answer, I should say, to these two face duos. Where do you, Walter, see this title ending up?
It feels early on, right? So why take belts off of champions? Baby faces, they seem to be, relatively over with the crowd. The morale is high. You're building them up, right? You want to build them up. Scourge of the Underdark, I just don't know if they're there yet, right? Mm-hmm. I really don't know if they're there ready to take the belt off. Reward the faces, keep the belt on Shooting Stars, let them keep putting in the work, because eventually you want to move them into the upper ranks, into the upper echelon. So keep it right where it is.
What about you, Xander?
Yeah, I would give it to Shooting Stars here. I think you made some good points for why the other folks in this card are talented, or in this end of the card are talented. But, you want to build Scourge of the Underdark up before you give them the win, I think. Kai Hong K and Jade looking good, but looking a little light on that popularity. Taking it away from Shooting Stars here might hurt you a lot in the long run. I'm curious to see if you keep it on Shooting Stars, but yeah.
Here's the thing. I dropped the hint again, but corporate really likes the Chosen Ones, y'all. And
okay.
Davida is part of Flying High, which means they're going to take the title. And you can see this is a hot match. Everyone is more popular as a result. The Shooting Stars aren't maybe happy about it, but they certainly are more over with the fans as a result of the street fight. It's a near 5-star match, which is tied for my lowest of the night. But Kai Hong Ki, Cyan Orion are both starting to get over. And Davida is now over with the fans. That's what corporate wanted. Corporate wanted to see the Chosen Ones over by the end of the year, main eventers by the end of the year. And I gotta tell you, I'm seeing a holy shit moment with Ai Hakai and Kaio Jade. And we're seeing Davida now as someone who holds 2 belts, the tag belt and the trio belt. And I do recognize that that's a problem for my every belt show up for the main event at the pay-per-view next month. And I do see where the problem might lie with that, but that's for future me to figure out. Right now, went great. I have no complaints. Oh boy.
Valid, very valid, and a great match. I mean, honestly, obviously not breaking that 5-star, but still phenomenal for what it was, and no way you're disappointed with it.
Yeah. Of course, this does bring us to the next match here, the Frost Witch Championship. Slightly higher prestige than the Flame Warlock Championship, but a very similar bent with a 7-way street fight here. Ariana Black, Make 'em See Black, is the current champion. She is an incredible workhorse, naturally charismatic, a gifted acrobat, and someone you can trust in the ring in any occasion. Someone I have a fond affection for as a result of the other league that started this whole journey. I also have a strong affection for Mistress Jade, where you didn't see this if you were only watching the pay-per-views, but if you got to follow the weeklies, you would know that Mistress Jade has kind of taken a break from Kaio Jade. She recognizes Kaio Jade is not ready to uphold the Jade title, so she's got to put on her solo pants and start getting some work. And she is 2-0 in the weeklies, very clearly establishing herself. Now, Doka Igarashi, I mean, she couldn't be more over with the fans. She couldn't be happier. She couldn't be, she's a main eventer. She's very popular. She has not spent a ton of time and in the solo division because she is a part of the Chosen Ones trio. And we've seen how that's gone for the Chosen Ones tonight. So does that get you there? Does that get you above Briar Allison, the GOAT, who is 2 points away from becoming a main eventer? Or Tilly Cooper, the authoritarian patriot, who has seen a massive stock rise ever since I got rid of her really shitty gimmick that she started with? Or Kagetsi, the killer, the 29-year-old heel, who hasn't gotten a lot of wins under her belt so far, but is an incredible worker. I mean, to me, this was a lot of different opportunities here I could have pursued. Walter, which one do you think I ended up with?
Listen, I know the Chosen Ones here is a little bit of bait. I would honestly say putting it on Mistress Jade, but Ariana Black has been such a good champion. I can't see taking the belt off of her unless you're really wanting to elevate her and, have her go after one of the upper titles, right? Again, it's that kind of thing. I'm going to say keep it with Ariana Black. It's going to be a bummer that Mistress Jade loses here, but I just can't see Jade taking the belt off of Ariana Black quite yet.
Xander, does that sound right to you?
I want to say Ariana, but I also can, corporate, so.
Well, I've got good news. Ariana Black doesn't give a shit about corporate. And that's going to be a 5+ star
Thank
match.
God.
Yeah, look, the rule of 3 said that I had to subvert your expectations the third time, and Ariana Black does pull that off. Because here's the thing. Do you think Igarashi gives a shit about losing? No, absolutely not. Her morale still went up. She lost 10 points of popularity. Who cares? She'll get that back in no time. The only person who's hurt by this is Kagetsi, who you will note, right? As soon as someone goes 0-4 in their solo performances, that does take a hit to their overness. But she had points to spend. Ultimately, we're seeing more people get over with the fans, and another holy shit moment for Ariana Black, slapping the taste out of Yuta Negra's mouth. That's what we came here to see. That's the moment that the audience paid for, and I'm feeling good about how that came together. I will say, I'm noticing the hype, and this is where I think, Xander, something that I'm trying to learn from, especially heading into the next Gold pay-per-view, your faction feuds got so many points so quickly and added so much hype so immediately that it feels like that might be a way to go if I'm trying to get my gold standard and get to the same fan total that maybe you might get from this. So I'm keeping that number in the back of my mind and hoping that my next few matches can make up for it if I keep this streak of high quality matches alive.
Gotcha.
But we go to the King of the Thunderdome Championship. This is my belt. Every match is going to be a steel cage match or a steel cell match, something of that caliber. Monty Hendricks, the gift from God, as he calls himself, a face that has a 2-0 record at the moment. He's got 2 feuds going on, one with Gavin Smith and one with Ashton Nieves. The Ashton one was the one I meant to start, and I accidentally clicked the wrong guy, so now he's just got both of them. And it turns out
why not?
That works out great because both of them are great wrestlers, both very over with the fans, both very much a threat to become main eventers with a nice big win here. But of course, you also have Ryu Otake, the dragon of a wrestling federation that does not exist in our canon. But it's a gimmick that's very over with people, so I'm not changing it. He's a dragon. That's all that matters. He's also 5 points away from becoming a main eventer. And if you look at that overness, he does not need a lot to become somebody who could become a face of the company one day. Xander, I'll start with you. Does the gift from God maintain the belt here?
I think Monty keeps it. I'll be honest. I think that you got some great folks in here. It should be a good match. Gavin Smith and Ashton, of course, folks you would argue could maybe take it. Ryu, I think, needs a little bit more time before you'd want to give it to him. I could see giving it to him and hoping that overness just immediately pushes, but I think it just goes back with Monty tonight.
Walter, do you agree with that assessment?
Absolutely, keep it with Monty, and I like the idea of this belt. It's a really good idea.
Mm-hmm. I am very happy with the belt. I will unfortunately have to disagree with y'all on the strategy. I'm going with Ashton Nieves, and look at the good psychology bonus that pushes me to 5.5 stars. I'm keeping the crowd guessing. I don't like this is my philosophical difference, I suppose, with a couple of the things you've been saying. I don't believe that just because this is a bronze pay-per-view that it should go chalk. I fear the fans would be bored by that, and you can tell from the bonus I got here, the fans like being kept on their toes. And sure, that's a morale hit and an overness hit to Monty Hendricks, but he calls himself the gift from God and is a face. That is a man that needs humbling. And Ashton Nieves is here to give it to him, and he's going to make it hurt for the foreseeable future. Gavin and Ryu, of course, just very happy to be here. But we are going to see no holy shit moments, no extra bonuses. But the King of the Thunderdome Championship, there is no morale hit to the reign being relatively short. Because if you set it up the right way, I think you can get around that. You will note the Western Watch maybe taking a little bit of a hit. But I also noticed here that my street fights are also gold now. So I got my unsanctioned LMS and ambulance matches as well. So definitely you could see some factions going up and down over the course of the night. There's still more to be seen. But overall, I'm going to take that as a win. I'm going to take that to the bank and enjoy.
I mean,
Ashton
listen,
Evans
and he can afford the morale hit that you gave him. So Monty being, so I get that too. And then listen, 5.5 star match. You're never disappointed.
Yeah, I've at this point, I don't think I'm going to beat you on hype, so I have to beat you on score. And I've got a lot of 5+ star matches, and I'm hoping to get me there. But there's still plenty of card left to go, including the Defenders of the Realm Championship. This is my men's tag team. We saw a couple men tag earlier tonight, but Highway Robbery, of course, the heels. These are the heels that knocked out the magic missiles, that delivered the injury that sidelined Red Arrow. And they are going up against Hylian Cross, Ezekiel Cross and Garudo, some incredible workers there. No bullshit with Vance Porter and Hideo Dado, two people who are already relatively over with the crowd. Out of This World with Sammy Emerald and DJ Vector. I told you about Sammy Emerald before, a guy who hasn't been able to make it work on a tag level, and who knows, maybe he gets tired of losing with DJ Vector and we see a feud coming down the pipeline. Who can say? Whom amongst us could possibly say?
Who could know? Who could know that information?
But then, of course, you have...
I think Chase could know.
I could possibly know. And then, of course, you have Unbelievable, which this is the faction led by El Rey Loco, who is a faction leader, and when he does well, his faction benefits substantially from it. And Miracle Oda, a guy who, ever since making his face turn to start the promotion, has been beloved by the fans. That's a 97 overness for a tag team at an average of 24 years old. You know that these are some beloved wrestlers. Xander, I'll ask you, who do you think takes the title?
Oh, this is so hard. I mean, again, you've given a lot of belts over tonight. I'm curious if this isn't the one that stays with highway robbery, right? I Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea. I've guessed wrong most of tonight for your card. I really have, and thus far, what seems like to your benefit that you've been right and I've been wrong. So, I would keep it with highway robbery, but I could see it going anywhere with how you've been designing your cards tonight.
Usually, Walter, I'd throw it to you, but I gotta be honest. It is highway robbery, and I think for the same reason you would point out.
Oh my gosh, that's a 6-star match.
It sure is a 6-star match. Because look, unbelievable. Obviously, it's an overness hit. You hate to see your faction leader take an L, but let's be real. Highway robbery. I set up Yellow Arrow with a win in the Battle Royale because I want Magic Missiles versus Highway Robbery to be a match of the night at my pay-per-view. And that means that highway robbery have to be intimidating. They have to be this faction, this heel faction that's too tough to take down for the rest of the card. It takes a red arrow return to possibly get a chance to take them down. And the crowd's here for it. It's a 6-star intensity. No holy shit moment, but oh boy, does the ladder match benefit from that. It's now going to be a little cheaper for me. And the Defender of the Realm Championships, that's a nice little XP bonus there as well. But hey, 6-star match, we'll take it. We're also going to do just a little bit of a video package as a treat. Not my favorite thing of the night, but it builds a little bit of hype for the main event, and I don't think packages weigh as much as the matches.
I'm happy to see the 3-star package just because you had a 6-star match there. At least still give me a chance here to.
I really hope it's not weighed the same way, but we will see. Because we've got 2 more matches tonight, starting with our Sorcerer Supreme Championship. This is the men's main tag event. El Muerte Blanco, the White Death, obviously an incredible wrestler, face of the company, the guy to watch so far, and someone that I've been very happy to see do as well as he has. Fishbone, of course, another face of the company, someone who desperately wants a win, as does Prince Pretty Pink. These are 2 faces who both are well beloved by the fans, great workers, very charismatic, and would love to take El Muerte down a peg. Of course, Adrian Lorenzo, one of the hardest workers in all of wrestling, an incredible heel who is 24 years old and already a 4-4, just waiting for his opportunity. Eli Chaos, the 18-year-old phenom, street champ of the Kiwis, and a 4-4 in his own right. And of course, Victor Magnus, another 4-4. These are nothing but the best for my tag championship. Walter, is there any chance this doesn't go to El Muerte Blanco? Do you think I've swerved once again?
You know, I think it's going to stay on El Muerto Blanco, but if anybody was going to take him out at this point, it would be Prince Pretty Pink. I think the 2 faces of the company going against each other, really, really great idea. Or maybe you put them into this, multi-man match now, get that feud bubbling with them, and then at the bigger pay-per-view next month, then you can put them in a one-on-one match, give it some kind of gimmick, last man standing, something crazy, and really let them go at each other, in the next month pay-per-view. I'll say you're going to keep it on El Muerto Blanco, but if anybody was going to do it, it would be Prince Pretty Pink.
What about you, Xander?
Oh man, Fishbone and Prince Pretty Pink. I don't want to see either of them lose their, their face of the company status. But I still just feel like it's got to go to El Muerte Blanco. I think you are, taking a bit of a risk, but I think everybody will be happy if he's still the one that wins and it's a good match. I don't want to, not that I want to disregard, Victor, Eli, and Adrian too much, but I really feel like it's got to go to one of those 3 faces of the company. And tonight it should still go to El Muerte Blanco, build him up, and let Prince Pretty and Fishbone, have opportunities later.
Man, a 6
and
plus
some change start.
That's how you do it. I agree with you entirely. El Muerte Blanco had to take it. He is the face of the company. He is my number 1 guy. I am a little bit bummed because what we're going to find here, Fishbone and Prince Pretty Pink, no longer faces of the company. They did drop, and I was really hoping that a match with this many people that was as hyped as it was, and that did as well as it was, would not lead to a popularity hit for all of these other people. That is a downside I did not quite see coming, and I am bummed out by it, because faces of the company certainly...
Yeah, that was the risk, right?
Yeah, that was the risk, but El Muerte Blanco...
Jade Star match, yeah.
People loved it. It was a great match. Yeah. It was an Iron Man. It really put people through the ringer. No holy shit moment. I'm not getting those points quite the same way you are. And the loss of the face of the company for the Eastern Elite, that has dropped their reputation substantially. Same with Western Watch. Those are both taking huge hits. The faces are struggling. And I'm going to have to keep that in mind. This is the danger of putting everyone that is available in my company into a faction because of my whole magic Game of Thrones style storyline that I've built. So we'll see. I think that's something I'm going to have to be very cautious of as I head into this next set of weekly shows to maybe try to rectify some of that damage. But got one more match tonight. We've got Skull Tabaka, Sumi Kobaya, Lorena Lucier, and Emu Imikio as my 4 women's title contenders. The Sorceress Supreme.
The sister. The twin.
The twin with a different spelling for sure. She is right on the cusp of being a face of the company. But Lorena Lucier, right? Like, she's the next best thing. She's incredibly popular, incredibly beloved. Same with Sumi Kobaya, 2 people who are right on the verge. You don't want to see them falling to the next level. Same with Skull Tabaka. These are all people you want to see succeed ultimately, because they're all incredibly talented. They're all young. They're all the faces of the company, hopefully, for years to come. I'm going to phrase it this way just for the sake of time. Do either of you believe that the champion should not retain in this match?
I just got a joke to make here real quick. Lorena Lucier is the next best thing because the best thing here is Amu Amikio, all right? And that's how I feel.
That's always been my problem with her gimmick. She's either the next best thing or, the next best thing, depending on how you want to pronounce that gimmick. And I feel like that is a downside for her. But it is going to be Amu. I'm not even going to pretend. That is another 6+ star match.
You are killing it tonight, man.
Oh my goodness.
Can you stop? You got any more video packages you want to throw in there real quick?
Now, here's the thing. I did lose 2 people who are no longer main eventers, right? That is a popularity hit for Skull Tabaka and Sumi Kobaya. Still got morale increases, which is good. Sumi's still over. The penalty she took there is not worth, is not going to cost her here. But this is definitely, Lorena and Amu's feud became hot. They've got some nice hot matches in there. Amu's on her way to becoming a face of the company. I'm not getting a lot of, super high, holy shit moments like you did. But I am getting that ladder match experience. And I do overall, despite all of it, I've got quite a lot of high quality matches. Does the card give me a higher score here? That's the question. And it does. 5.5 stars for the event.
5.5 stars.
Fantastic.
Well done.
Which, that will put me in the lead. I will take it. I have some work to do in the weeklies. I've got a lot of people that just dropped a threshold. We have to find a way to get back to the threshold I want them in. It's going to be complicated. I have some math homework to do. But it's for a 5.5 star match, and for that alone, I'm going to take it.
I just sent you a GIF in chat. In case you want to take a quick gander.
What did it cost? Everything. But it didn't cost everything. It just cost me most things. It's fine. It's fine. Who needs faces of the company? Who needs main eventers? These are details. These are rounding errors in the accounting that is life. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But right now, fair. I think we should take let's say a 3-minute break for anyone who needs to kind of recharge before the second set of cards. Does that sound good with my lovely co-host here?
Yes.
Sounds good to me.
Sweet. Welcome back, everybody. We are halfway through our cards for the night. This tri-cast I've got going on here with Walter and Xander. So far, I have won the night at a significant cost with a 5.5-star match. But Xander with 5.25 stars on his pay-per-view is doing quite well and saw more of a popularity boost and maybe a larger hype boost as well. So right now, both players, I think, who have gone so far are feeling good about where they are at. But before we see Walter's card, it's time for us to check in with the other player who got 5.25 stars at the first pay-per-view of this competition, which is Eduardo. Eduardo now, unfortunately, could not be here tonight, but he has told us that this is a super advanced computerized decision-making system that is going to lead him to victory tonight. So shall we see what he has in store for us?
I'm curious to see how the computer plays this out. I think that AI needs some work, but maybe it comes in big tonight for the Mr. Stucker.
It's very possible. Well, it starts tonight with Kyle Cage versus El Cuervo. This is just a straight-up head-to-head match, as pure as you get, between two people that have been feuding for a while. Both of these are 4-star workers, very charismatic, people who know how to put a strong feud together, and they've been feuding so far. They've each gotten a win, I think, in this 1v1 feud, if you take the pay-per-view and the weeklies into account. Who would y'all be giving it to? I want to start with you, Walter.
I think it can go either way here, especially the one-on-one records they both have. Kyle Cage, United Kingdom's best, is a little bit younger, so maybe you want the younger talent to be better built up. But, for El Cuervo, that just means he's in his prime. 34 years old in wrestling, you could wrestle for a very, very long time, given the modern medicine and surgeries and what you can get. So I am going to say this ends in some kind of DQ double pin screwy finish. There is not going to be a definitive winner of this match.
Wow. Xander, what about you?
El Cuervo.
El Cuervo. I'll be honest with you. I also would go El Cuervo purely from the mask. That's a great mask. I'm a big fan of Ravens in general. I think Lamar Jackson seems pretty fun to watch. But yeah, Eduardo agrees. This is El Cuervo with the win. And look at... Oh, no! Oh boy! This is... What a...
Oh, no.
A tumultuous
hot
and cold.
No.
This is a nearly 5-star match between two people who are not faces of the company, just from pure skill alone, without any gimmicks whatsoever or any weird finishes. And the game has punished Eduardo, who, for the record, for anyone who's been following the weeklies, Eduardo has taken the brunt of it by far. Once from me, from user error, because things happen sometimes. Sometimes you click a button and it's not the button you were meant to click, and that happens sometimes.
Maybe a little misclick, no big deal.
But then also the game did not reward him. If you're wondering why I'm referring to ratings rather than fans and determining how well people are doing, it's because Eduardo got screwed when he had his best weekly of the show, of the whole competition, the highest scored weekly I think anyone got over the course of the competition so far. The game said, hey, we're not loading fans right now. Oops, sorry, bye.
Also, my most underperforming card, and it just magically disappeared, which I don't know. How did that happen? There's no way I hacked the game, surely, to cause that. But yeah.
Surely not. And so the game has rewarded Eduardo with a 0.6% chance at an injury for El Cuervo. Dr. Ward is evaluating now. Hopefully, we are all going to be rooting for this to be a minor injury. The injury revenge feud, increasing the hype of the greatest wrestler feud. I guess that is a small solace in all of this, but what a shame. Once again, Eduardo doing the right thing and getting punished for it. But, Walter, you were talking earlier. You want to see some results, some real consequences for some of these gimmick matches, and Eduardo has 2 matches that are very much about just that. This is a Gold Rush briefcase holder match. This is going to give a contract to whoever wins that they could cash in for a shot at the title. This is exactly what you have been wanting to see from some of these gimmick matches we've seen. So we've got quite the card here. Alyssa Rose, obviously, a standout 4'4", 21 years old, very much itching to be a main eventer. You know, we see Madison Marlowe, who's done quite well as a face, a 3-3 with some high upside. We see Suki Akiyama, someone who's already a main eventer at 22, already well over with the fans. Pink Arrow, we've seen how good the Arrows can be. We know how much it would mean for another Arrow sibling to get a push here. Juno Ripshaw, Mrs. XPW, a faction that, again, does not exist thanks to our simulations, but is a 4'4", 25 years old, a beloved heel, would love to cash in a contract here. And Skull Dredson, who may only be a 3-2, but she's 24 years old. She is a killer as a heel. And look at that skull mask at the edge here. I mean, that's the look of someone you want to maybe build up over time. So I'll start with you here, Xander, since I started with Walter last time.
Dredson. It's not even a question. Skull Dredson, look at the skull mask. It's dope. All right, Eduardo likes dope things. Okay, Skull Dredson.
Walter.
Suki Akiyama. Get ready for the big pay-per-view match. Give it to Suki Akiyama. Have your number one contender ready to go. And you don't even have to think about the next pay-per-view. Just put the two of them, put your champion, put Suki against them, and you're good to go.
See, I understand what you're saying. However, I agree with what Eduardo ultimately did. And not just because Alyssa Rose has done so much goddamn work for me in my original league, but she is a 21-year-old who, with a win here, this is going to propel her into main event status, and this is going to be a 5.5-star match.
Gosh. Oh my gosh.
Plenty of intensity. Everyone's more over now as a result. You're seeing a huge morale change from everyone who participated, and you're seeing the first holy shit moment of the night for Eduardo. Alyssa Rose hitting Skull Dredson with a lariat here. I think Alyssa Rose, as a 4'4", who is now going to be in the mid-800s moving forward, she has well positioned herself as a heel that can threaten any face in the women's division for a title as soon as she cashes in that contract. And I got to say, I'm here with the game and I'm here with Eduardo. I think that was the right call. But I'm sure we have not seen the last of Suki or Skull Dredson. They are both going to continue to be incredibly talented people. I will say, I do think it's mean that the game, for whatever reason, split the women's gold rush and the men's gold rush in terms of matches, because it means that he's only going to get credit for one at a time, and they sure are expensive to level up here. But that is a very small, piece at the end of the day. Good stuff with a 5.5 overall. But we move on to a hot feud between Cameron Johnson and Ed Thompson. I imagine this was not a match that Eduardo expected to be putting on here, but the feud went hot. The fans have been digging it on the weeklies, and so of course you got to throw it in your pay-per-view, and you got to make it a street fight, because the Daredevil Cameron Johnson, he is a risk taker. He loves street fights. He loves to create these holy shit moments, and he's a big match specialist, a gifted acrobat. He is built for this, quite literally. And meanwhile, Ed Thompson, I mean, he's got a 73 overness right now, but he is a 3-3 face, someone who's a workhorse, maybe a little bit stiff, but a bleeder, an injury resilient, someone who can get into the ring time and time again, and theoretically not suffer an injury like poor El Cuervo did earlier in the night. Xander, which of these two do you think takes the upper hand?
Ed Thompson is holding a tennis racket.
Sure is.
He's wearing a cowboy hat and holding a tennis racket. Okay. No, and my actual argument here is that he's very close to being over. All right. 34-year-old guy, looks like a talented dude, has taken some losses for the promotion. I think tonight he wins in the street fight with the tennis racket in the study. Okay, and it goes crazy.
Walter, are you on board?
See, the reason I'm going to say Ed Thompson is just because he's gone 0-3. You need to give him some wins back. That way we don't really hit his morale. But I would actually say, I'm going to say Ed Thompson, but I think the winner should be Cam Johnson. But I think he's going to go Ed Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they're both 0-3. They both are at the same morale.
Cam Johnson, then. Come on, younger, 4-4 already. Build him up. Get him some more popularity. Give him a big win here.
Yeah, but see, Ed Thompson can become a 4-4 now if he gets the win. That's where Eduardo went. It's a near 5-star match. It is a 7 overness change, which is enough for Ed Thompson to be over with the fans. This is now a hot match in a hot feud, which boosted both of their overness, gave the pay-per-view a hype bonus. Both of them saw a substantial popularity increase from this. And while we did not get a holy shit moment, I do believe that this has set a hot feud to only get hotter, as they're now both 4-4s moving forward. So I expect this to be a feud we see again in some of the weeklies moving forward. Not quite a 5-star match, but something Eduardo still has to be feeling pretty good about in terms of its long-term potential. Oh my goodness. I have this cash-in button now on all of the title matches. That's absolutely terrifying, if only because I don't know how that mechanic actually works. So there'll be some fun testing, I think, in between events here. Luckily, you'll be unsurprised to hear there's not going to be a cash-in tonight, so that's for future me to figure out. But for current me, you're looking at Violetta, the current women's champion, going up against Layla Abalos. These are both four-star workers. Violetta, obviously a 22-year-old face, who has the belt already and is incredibly over with the fans. But Layla Abalos, you know, she's very pretty, very entertaining, knows how to shine in a big match like this, and is very much threatening here. Walter, who would you give this to?
You know, I'm going to say keep it on the champion, Violetta. Especially, you know, it's very obvious that Eduardo here is trying to build up his street fight matches. That way he can get to, you know, the last man standing and everything else. It's a minor pay-per-view. There's no real reason to take the belt off at this point. And a street fight is a great way to keep the belt on the champion while allowing the challenger to continue to look strong as well.
What about you, Xander? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's the way to go here. I like both these wrestlers. I actually tried to recruit both of them, so I'm happy with either of them winning. But I think it goes that way for sure.
And it does indeed go that way. And look at that, a near 6-star match. Great form. We see the bleeding. We see the holy shit moment as Violetta hit Layla Abalos with her finisher off the top rope. That is everything you want to see. A hot match for both of them. This is the work that Eduardo put in, right? He said when we talked to him about his weekly match strategy, he started with some of his lower card people, and the weeklies got higher and higher profile over time. He built these feuds up. He put in the legwork. And I think the fact that we're seeing a one-on-one match do as well as this one is doing shows you just how much that work can pay off. It's a great job. But of course, there's not just the women's gold rush tonight. We have the men's gold rush. This is going to be another contract to the winner here, and we've got another 10 competitors hoping to bring it home. Adriano Ciccelli, of course, the guitar player, a face who is beloved by the fans and is a great worker on his own right. Requiem Avillo, a legit murderer, which seems terrifying to have in your stable, but look, he's a 28-year-old heel with a 4-star work rate, very, right on the cusp of becoming a main eventer. Ty Flaw, absolutely flawless, another 4-4 you'd love to give a main event push. Nightmare Blue, the ruler of the Sapphire Kingdom, another guy, 4-star worker, 9 points away from potentially becoming a main eventer. And of course, you know, a guy like XT Gunn you love to see in a match like this. He's got his 4-4. Someone who's already put in the work in this kind of upper mid card to distinguish himself. James Parker, the fearless superhero. Brady Velasquez, the Dawn of Lucha Libre, who is tied with El Arcangel de Fuego, who, you know, only picks winners theoretically. This is the 19-year-old phenom who is already a main eventer. And you can't sleep on a guy like Ishikame, who is 5 away on an Overness point scale to becoming a 4-4 of his own. And of course, Jordan Amir, the Phantom Executionist, an incredible 4-4 in his own right, a 25-year-old phenom. So a lot of really talented people here. This card is packed with talent, people who are hungry for a shot at a title. Walter, who do you think deserves it the most in this stack?
I think it's gonna be Brady Velasquez, as you said, El Arjano de Fuego. He doesn't choose losers, and he's probably gonna get involved and help out Brady Velasquez with this win.
Do you agree with that, Xander?
Sí, El Arcángel del Fuego is amazing. All right, he picks winners. Brady Velasquez is taking it home tonight.
I mean, look, I like Brady Velasquez as much as the next guy. I think he would have been a great pick. I think Jordan Amir would have been a great pick. I would have liked Ishikame because I think getting more people at 4-4 is only going to make your company better over time. But here's the thing. Adriano has a guitar. And apparently that's all Eduardo needed to see. That is kidding me? That is an 87-point boost. He's going to be a main eventer. That is a near 5-star match. He's getting the contract. A massive overness boost and morale boost for him. Everyone's getting a little bit of a morale boost. And it's going to cause the Typhloid Nightmare Blue feud to go hot. The men's Gold Rush, not quite as hype as the women's Gold Rush, obviously. We're seeing a slightly under 5-star match, and maybe that is because, you know, an Adriano Cicelli is someone that not a lot of people saw coming. But this propels him to the stratosphere, and the 39-year-old who loves his guitar is now a main eventer with 4-4 stats and well over with the fans. And that's a nice guy to have in your stable moving forward. It sounds like...
I can't wait for him to get murdered by a heel for 6 weeks straight.
I mean, look, we cannot see the long-term plan of Eduardo's genius. He's not here to defend or explain himself, but we are going to move on here to the next match. This is a tag, a 2v2 duo. These are not your standard tags, but you have Matthew No and Kenji Ryota. Kenji, of course, accompanied by El Tigre de Neon, versus Gambler and Shinji Yano. Now, both of these pairs have feuds in and of themselves. They're both stepping up feuds. Matthew No and Kenji Ryota are lower mid-carders who want to have a shot. They want to have that opportunity to compete for the biggest belts possible. Meanwhile, Gambler and Shinji Yano, they're already upper mid-carders. They're here to defend what they believe is rightfully theirs. You know, they might not be as great workers overall as Matthew No and Kenji, but they are more popular with the fans in the immediate, incredibly charismatic, and a lot of, you know, big match specialists going on here. Xander, which of the duos do you give it to?
I give it to Matthew Noah and Kenji Ryota. Okay, that's who I'm giving it to. These guys are they're backed by El Tigre de Neon, and I just feel like at some point tonight, okay, the folks getting managed should probably win a match. And you know, you got your faces. Give them the dub.
What about you, Walter?
You know, as Gambler and Shinji would say, yeah, no. No.
Just no.
Gambler and Shinji.
Here's the thing. There's a plan here. El Tigre de Dion, he does not pick losers. Archangel de Fuego apparently does, but Tigre? No way, sir. And it's important here. Y'all didn't know this, but they now believe they have common goals and they have teamed up together to be a new tag team. So they are now a tag moving forward.
That's actually pretty hype, not gonna lie. That's pretty.
Yeah, it's created some hot feuds between Gambler and Matthew No. It's a hot match in general. I don't know how it's called No and Ryota. I don't know. Eduardo might have to spend some points to change that tag name. I actually do not know how that mechanic works because I've never created a tag team via a production segment before. But that's what Eduardo asked for. We made it happen, And it does create some hype, right? They win the tag duo, and then they're like, fuck it, we ball. And these lower mid-carders proving that they are a force to be reckoned with. So
I like experimenting with the different mechanics in this game. I know, Chase, when we get to mine, I didn't use it, but you and I can talk about the other mechanic that we investigated and looked into.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to get there, which I'm very excited about. But for now, we've got another match. There's no extra details here. There's no championship on the line. It's just two very talented wrestlers going head to head. Lionel Looney versus Razor Jackson. Razor Jackson, Mr. Extreme. He is a 26-year-old face who is right now a 3-2, but would love to get some more overness behind him, would love to become a main eventer. Meanwhile, Lionel Looney believes that Razor Jackson is not on his level, and in fact, no one, according to Lionel Looney, is on his level. So we are certainly seeing these people go head to head in what is meant to be a culmination of the feud that they've been building. Xander, who do you think takes this one?
This one's rough. I'm really torn here. So me personally, if I'm making this decision in a vacuum, it's going to Lionel Looney. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't think Razor Jackson is where he needs to be yet to take the win between these two without Lionel Looney losing more than he gains. And I like Razor. I think he's got a cool name, all right, and all that. But I would give it to Lionel Looney, hands down.
Walter, do you agree with that?
So here's the thing. I got to ask you a question here, because we all know Eduardo. Did he tell you to just simulate any of these matches?
You know, amazingly, unlike every weekly show that we've done, he did not tell me to simulate any of these.
Okay. So then I say Lionel Looney. I could understand why you might give it to Razor Jackson, try and pull up his popularity a little bit more, but I think you want to keep your strong heels strong, and there's no real reason to just give a random loss from Lionel Looney onto a jabroni like Razor Jackson.
Wow, jabroni is harsh, and Eduardo's not going to love hearing that, because he did give it to Razor Jackson. That is going to be a near 5-star match. Lionel Looney certainly, takes a little bit of an overness hit, takes a little bit of a morale hit. Maybe not as much of a boost as Eduardo was looking for here overall. But it is a fine match. If this was a weekly, I think he'd be thrilled by this result, right? But unfortunately, this is a pay-per-view, and we're seeing in a world in which we saw a lot of 5+ star matches. He's going to really need to bring it home with these next two if he's going to be competing on that same level. But these are the two biggest titles that he has. It is Kelly Torres, the Tower, the women's champion, a 4'4", 29-year-old face who is beloved by the fans and who has been thrilled to hold this title, versus Haley, the lunatic, the 19-year-old phenom who is so close to becoming a main eventer, who is also beloved by the fans and wants this badly. Xander, do you think this is the time, or does Kelly Torres stand as tall as the Tower she takes her name from?
My guessing on the cards tonight hasn't been phenomenal. We all can see that, okay? I give it to Kelly. Kelly retains the title. It's a ladder match. It should be hype. It should be good. I can understand giving it to the 19-year-old in Haley. But wait, can I see their morale? Can you scroll down just a little bit so I can see the morale? Just maybe.
Haley's at 60%. She's still happy.
Okay,
but...
just kidding. I give it to Haley. Haley
okay.
Takes it.
Interesting. You're just keep Haley happy. That's all I'm hearing from
It's
Xander.
A 19-year-old talented wrestler. Keep her happy. That's my opinion.
Walter, what about you?
I'm going to disagree with that. And here's the thing. You just had a heel win a guaranteed cash-in contract. You're not going to have a heel take the belt away from another heel. You got to keep it on the babyface. You got to hope that you can survive the morale crush for Haley. Maybe what you're going to do is you're going to go put her back on your mid-card titles, give her a whole bunch of wins, give her a nice long reign with the mid-card title to kind of get her morale back up. But it just doesn't make sense to take the belt off of Kelly Torres.
Well, Eduardo agrees with Walter here. Kelly Torres is going to retain. That is going to be a hit to Haley, both in terms of overness and morale. But look at that, a 6-star match. That's the match of the night so far. Kelly Torres, obviously an incredible champion, and she fights her way to an over 900 overall. Haley, she's not unhappy. She's just content. And maybe that's a sign that perhaps Haley's going to need a little bit more love in the long run. But with this, Eduardo takes ladder matches to gold prestige, which means he's got tables matches and he's got TLC matches unlocked moving forward. Those are two things his promotion can do that no one else can right now. And that dedication to the ladder match is really hopefully going to pay off for him in the long run. And certainly a 6-star. Haley, maybe she needs some loves during the weeklies. That's a fixable problem. At least that's Eduardo's.
Maybe she wants to go over to some other promotion that really likes talented female wrestlers. You know, I don't know. Who knows?
Is somebody offering a trade during the break?
Maybe there's a relatively wealthy promotion that did pretty well tonight in terms of the holy shit moments. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, that would be a very interesting twist. I will have to wait to see what Eduardo thinks about that. But right now, we get to the championship that maybe has the biggest amount of controversy around it, because Masucci here is our title holder. You will note he was not the holder of the title as of the first pay-per-view. This is where I did a little bit of an oopsie poopsie. This was meant to be a DQ win for Masucci during a weekly show, but the DQ wasn't available because it was a gimmicked match, so I went with cheating instead, and the game does not treat those like the same, it turns out. So Masucci, via cheating, took the title from Ishihara. Ishihara, of course, the face, a strong style specialist, very over with the fans, a face of the company, versus Masucci, who would like to become a face of the company. This is a tough back and forth, right? Do you put the belt back on Ishihara where, theoretically you could argue it belongs? Or does Masucci have to now get a bit of a push here to make sure that the belt reign feels like it matters? Walter, which of those two factors do you think wins out here?
I think both of these guys are good enough that if you hot shot it back and forth between them a couple of times, what you're really doing is you're going, hey, these guys are on the same level as each other, and we need to come up with some sort of gimmick, whether it's you do a 2 out of 3 falls, the last man standing, an I quit, you create some sort of new match type, like a Punjabi prison match or something like that. But I think Eduardo is somebody who, can make things work. It was a mistake. It happened. Masucci, he won the belt. Let's make the most out of this. Maybe we can build another face of the company. The other thing being Adriano Cicelli winning that guaranteed title shot. He's a baby face, right?
Yeah.
You got to keep the belt on the heel if you got a baby face that's going to chase after him. And that could be some nice fresh meat for Masucci to build up that popularity, build up that overness without, killing a really, really good young star. You can kind of, I don't want to say waste this increase by the older talent and let him ride off into the sunset after being eaten alive for 6 weeks by Isamu Masauchi. So that's who my pick. Keep it with the champ.
Okay. Do you agree with that, Xander?
I actually think you give it to Shichiro here. And my reasoning being, Isamu, I'll just tell you, both these guys are talented. You do want both of them likely to end up as faces of the company, but one of them still is right now. Okay? Despite losing the belt, he still is a face of the company. The other guy is 6 months away, and it's Isamu. So I think you do a little bit of hot potato, and you rebuild this and say, you know what? You won through dirty shenanigans last time. I'm taking my belt back. But very similar to some of Walter's assessment is that you've got a lot of room to build something cool out of this here. However, I don't think you want both faces of the company to lose out given what happened last time. I think you keep the one guy that's a face of the company and you keep him happy, you keep him hot, and you build the other guy up later.
So here's the thing. Masucci does not care about fair. He's already proven that he will cheat, and it turns out tonight he is cheating again to maintain his title. And the good news is, as a result, you're going to see some good and some bad, right? This ends up being a 5.5-star match, despite a half-star penalty for cheating and a half-star penalty for the fact that this was a finish that already happened.
This would have been a 6.5.
This would have been a 6.5-star match, which tells you how good these performers are, how good this promotion is at ladder matches, and how good the story is between these two. Because ultimately, yes, that this finish has happened before, but now we are establishing Masucci can only maintain the title if he cheats for it. And that means that people aren't judging Ishihara, who as a face is too good and too kind to stoop to that level, at least for now. And we'll see where he takes it. But that is going to be the end of his night. Do we get another... we do get a hot match, and that is nice. Masucci is indeed on his way to becoming a face of the company. We do not see, unfortunately, any other holy shit moments. This was not as much of a cash-in moment as maybe Eduardo was hoping, but he is going to get a 5-star card. So that is the lowest of the night, but still 190 creativity points.
And not that much far lower, right? Mm-hmm. Like I was 5.25, you were 5.5, he's 5. He's, you know, it's not like he missed the mark tonight. He had some really big matches. Just not able to sustain that across some of the sort of middling matches in the card.
Yeah, I think Eduardo went into this saying, I need to save up, right? I spent a lot of points early on in this promotion. I have 2 really expensive contract matches that are going to give me some long-form storytelling. So I'm going to have some matches like Razor Jackson versus Lionel Looney and El Cuervo versus Kyle Cage, where we're not going to have any gimmicks. We're not going to have any fancy bells and whistles here. We're just going to let the match go into what it is. And on the one hand, it did save some points. I think that did work well for him, and he does have the long-form storytelling there. On the other hand, I think if either of those or the tag match, right, the 3 didn't have any gimmick attached, if even one of those gets a little bit of an extra boost, maybe he ties you there, Xander. So these are the kind of marginal gains we're looking at when looking at what it takes to be the champion in our league. But we've got one more person left on the card. Walter, I turn to you here. You are currently, let's say, the 4th place performer.
Last place. I'm in last place. But let's be honest. I mean,
yeah, you've built it. Tell us about this card.
Yeah, you know what? It doesn't matter. It does not matter that I am in last place, because as I have continued to say, I am trying to build a long-term story here. Long-term story arc, really long-term investment across the board. I am trying to build up some of my lower popularity people, right? I haven't even debuted a faction yet. There's an entire faction that we have not seen yet on any showings. I had another trio faction that I just debuted for the first time in weekly television, and we will get to see their lead. We will get to see the tag team from them perform tonight. You know, and that's what this entire thing has been. The first pay-per-view was really about getting the belts on people, building up some of those early feuds, and sort of learning some of the mechanics around this. And ladies and gentlemen, Chase and I discovered, and I know we told Xander and we told Eduardo in the chat, there is a tournament feature in here. We can build a tournament, so don't worry. The SWA is going to have a tournament, and probably multiple tournaments over the course of this year. The one thing is, it's not quite as in depth as I would hope. It looks like it is just mainly an individuals tournament, so I can't do a tag team tournament like maybe I'm doing towards the end of the year in the mechanics of the game. But it is what it is, right? And a lot of this weekly build up to this cup, I was viewing this as this is a slightly lower pay-per-view, and I wanted to showcase some more of sort of the younger wrestlers, as well as, you know, our stalwart champions, and build up some of these feuds going into the next pay-per-view.
Well, I think a lot of that makes sense. I'm certainly excited to see how your tournaments turn out, and I will try to experiment, see if I can force a tag tournament, because that does seem fun as hell. But for now, it's time to jump into the Heritage Cup, and it is time to look at what should be a very entertaining card. Let's see how it all comes together. We start with the Mildred S. Robinson Cup Championship. Tell us about this opening match.
Yeah, so this opening match, again, really trying to focus on some of the youngsters, really get them out in front. That is what the Heritage Cup is supposed to be about. It's really supposed to be about showcasing our younger talent. Obviously, we have the champion, Jessie Mallory, 29-year-old. We've got Nora Nunes, another one of the older members of the roster, but she won a triple threat on the weekly show to get onto this card. She was being kind of boxed out here by Talia Adler and Trixie Albright. Talia Adler didn't get onto this card, but Trixie Albright did. She, again, one of our younger stars. We also have Angelina Cardinal, the youngest member of our women's roster. She is a 4-star workhorse and charisma, needs to get that popularity up, but she is working with the legend herself, Layla Hertz. And then Maestra Gomez, she had a tag match 3 weeks ago with Consequenza and has started a new tag team that is called Telenovela, so she's getting her shot in here as well. So who do you guys think are going to win?
Well, you first, please.
No. You first, please.
I mean, I'm just looking at Angelina Cardinal, right? And I'm looking at a 19-year-old phenom who is 13 points away from being a main eventer, who is a 4-star work rate, 4-star charisma, who is already over with the fans, and who has a manager in Layla Hertz, who I think is only going to bring out the best in her. I understand that there's that philosophy of don't turn the belts over too soon. Obviously, I rebelled against that a little bit in my card, and it seemed to work out all right for me. But I think if you're going to turn over any belt, this is a belt that if you get on someone like Angelina Cardinal, she can make this belt shine. So that's where I would go. What about you, Xander?
Well, I regret letting you go first because you said everything I wanted to say. Angelina Cardinal is the one to go with here, okay? She's again 19 years old, right there for the main event status. I see other talented wrestlers in this match. You love to see the work rates. Jessie Mallory, of course, but like 787 she is,
Yeah.
like she's right there, and her morale is 67%. So it's obviously something. If she takes too much of a hit here, she risks being content, which is a term we hate. Okay, we like happy.
Well, are you keeping Angelina happy, Walter, or do you have larger plans here?
I've got larger plans here. Now, just because Jessie Mallory is going to win this match and is going to keep that belt on her, it doesn't mean that Angelina Cardinal is going to be falling anywhere down the card. And in fact, the reason we aren't going to put the belt on Angelina Cardinal is because I want to drag her up the card. And I am hoping that she will be challenging the women's champion at some point this year. There is a reason she has Layla Hertz in her corner, and it is to get her up the card. And the bigger thing is, if you look down at that holy shit moment, this is going to be the thing here that I want people to pay attention to. The feud that is going to build between Jessie Mallory and Trixie Albright. Get ready to see a lot of them here in the next few months, because these two are going after each other.
I like how this all worked out, right? This ends up being a 5-star match. It's a hot match that benefits everybody quite nicely. And it gets the Angelina Cardinal versus Maestra Gomez feud to be hot, which is quite nice. Leaves you more room to play with those two wrestlers moving forward. But this is also just like, you are making some good use out of some people that are not nearly as popular on the card, right? It would be very easy to say, Trixie Albright, you have a popularity of 448. It would take years before you are an upper mid-carder or even, let alone a main eventer. So I'm just going to put that to the side. But this is a great example. You can use a talent like that and end up really getting a long-term advantage there simply by putting them with a lot of other very talented people. It's a well-constructed match, and it plays off well for you. But we move on.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we move on to your tag champions here. You've got Down Under versus Hollywood Bound. Tell me about what brings these two to the ring against each other tonight.
So Down Under and Hollywood Bound were two of the inaugural champions match, right? The first match It also included Parole on the Roll and Baja Lucha. And these two were the ones that really helped bring the house down in that match. This, again, is going to be a longer-term feud. I'm not expecting this feud to end here tonight. I'm hoping it's going to push for a few more shows, and maybe we can get something really crazy out of them at the next pay-per-view. But quite frankly, they're two of our better tag teams. Right, and it's a face versus heel thing. I have a lot of expectations for Hollywood Bound and what they are going to be able to pull off later into their career. But the belt is on Down Under right now, and they kind of do have a little bit of an advantage with the tag team ladder match.
Yeah, I will say I love that you've got not only the feud between the two of them, but the Dominatus Tenebris versus the Lads feud. You've got multiple angles that have got people hyped for this specific match. I mean, Xander, who do you think takes it? Because for me, I've got a strong feeling about where this one goes.
I think that Hollywood Bound loses, and it just goes to Down Under, and it's not even a question.
Yeah.
It's I wanted to make it sound dramatic. It's just Down Under taking it. All right.
Look, I like Hollywood Bound. They're young, they have potential, they're very charismatic, but I look at that 2 work rate and I have big concerns, right? Because ultimately, work rate is what determines how strong a match is going to be. It's the thing that determines how likely you are to have, those hot moments that really, benefit in the long run. And sure, they've got tag team specialists, which changes their work rate substantially when they're in tag teams, so they do get a bonus there. But guess what? You've also got some tag team specialists in Down Under. They are performing well above that 3-star work rate that you're seeing. Walter, is it safe to say that Down Under is maintaining their role here?
Yeah, Down Under is going to win this match. I do not believe in hot-shotting the belts around, and it doesn't matter what their work rate is.
That does not at all, because look at that 5+ star match. You'll love to see that. Matt Middleton is now over with the fans. Joey Stone is starting to get over with the fans. So you look at Down Under here, and this was a huge. This was huge for both of them, right? Joey Stone and Hollywood Bound still got this massive overness increase, such that they are going to be benefiting in the long run. You got a hot match, which boosts both sides. You didn't quite get the holy shit moment, but you got a great impact on the tag championships. And the Lads getting that hot member is going to go a long way, as well as leveling up your ladder match here, which I think obviously you want to get that to that gold so you can unlock some more gimmick match options. But as of right now, just getting that popularity boost on all future ladder matches has to feel pretty good.
That it does.
You've got a video package here for Drew King. It is unfortunate that your producer seemed to hurt more than help, but that is a nice experience buff there. It still gave Drew King an overness boost and 12 popularity because it was still a relatively effective event. And I give that to Drew King, a very charismatic guy. Manages to get around the fact that perhaps Amelie Gonzalez has been letting you down, and not just at this pay-per-view. Is it safe to say you've had some strong words for her with some of the segments you've had?
Listen, you can't hit a home run if you don't take a couple of big swings. And the big part here with the video package of introducing Drew King and his manager / bodyguard, Raven, is introducing the Kingdom. His stable, his boys, Parole on the Roll, and the rest of them. And they are taking on a trio from Eternum. Now, this is not the SWA Trios Champions. We did not use the Trios Champions in this match. If I remember correctly, we are missing Wesley Lee Morris. He is not in this match. He was going to potentially be in another match, but I'm trying to save the faction feud for the blow off to happen at the next pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. So this is a beginning, and it's possible that the Kingdom and Eternum might be feuding over the Trios Championships going forward. This is the start of a feud.
Yeah, I do like that this is another faction feud. They may say that there's no hype going in, but I think there might be a lot of hype coming out. depending on how this goes. Xander, between these two, who are you turning to?
Between these two, it's got to go to Eternum. Saber, Lucha, and Dolan, man. I like these guys. I like them a lot. Obviously, their work rate's a little bit lower, not exactly what you want to see. And, of course, you got the good heel faction with the Kingdom. But I think Eternum, like, the name is just cooler, man. It's got to go to them.
It's a cool name, but I know Walter. He and I have hung out once or twice. And I know that we have a young stable of heels with a high enough work rate and a high enough charisma rate. I think I know where this is going, but Walter, who's getting the win here tonight?
It is going to be the Kingdom, because this is the beginning of a longer feud between the Kingdom and Eternum. These guys are going to start feuding against each other, introducing the Kingdom to the audience. I know they're currently the champions, but we do need to get them going. I see there is a little bit of a happiness change there on Kyle Lucha. Don't worry, we'll deal with you, Kyle. We'll get you a couple wins, because I know he hasn't been having the best of time lately. But this is long-term storytelling, and hopefully this doesn't start to cause some friction inside of Eternum. They've only been the champions for a month.
Yeah, I think this is... I'm very interested in the long-term storytelling. I love that you've kicked off another faction feud. This is the kind of thing we've seen work really well in Xander's promotion. I think it's smart to get a second one going here. And certainly I am very interested to see how far this can take some of these Kingdom guys who all got to take advantage of that overness boost. Maybe none of them are in range quite yet of that next leap, but batches like this gets them well on their way. But we have the men's championship here early on in the card compared to what people might expect. This is Craig Opley versus Ethan Wild. Craig Opley, the rich boy, who you don't usually think of rich boys as a face, but this 25-year-old has won over the crowd with that incredible work rate and charisma. And of course, Ethan Wild also been very talented here. What can fans expect from this match, Walter?
Here's the thing. Opley and Wild, their feud went hot right away after the first pay-per-view. They do not like each other, being in different stables. Ethan Wild in Eternum, Craig Opley in the Lads. And this is another one of those from the indies. Before we signed them, they had a raging feud against each other. And it just made sense for us to put them against each other. The belt still being up there for grabs. And when they came to talk to me about putting this match together, they said, we can't have rules here. We got to be able to go after each other. We got to be able to hurt each other. And that's what I'm allowing them to do. You want to break each other's necks? Go for it. I hope I don't have to, tie them up, leash them up away from each other by the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, Ethan Wild is hoping for Craig Opley's demise, one could say. Xander, where do you think this is going?
If I had to choose between Craig keeping it and Ethan taking it, it's sticking with Craig for this one. I think that Ethan will, this feud will continue to be hot. We'll see more of it, but I think Craig keeps it for now.
Yeah, I think Craig, you're looking at that 970 popularity with a good enough match right here, and there's all the reason to think it could be a high-quality match given the 4-star work rate from both of these guys. This could become a face of the company. Craig Opley is in range, and that's what you want to see from your men's champion. Walter, are we right? Is this a Craig Opley win?
That is correct. Craig Opley has won. Ethan, not too happy about it. He's already come backstage. He's already yelled at me, and he has demanded that next month at New Beginnings, he gets another shot at the champion, and he has demanded that it will be a dog collar match. And I can confirm next month at New Beginnings, Craig Opley and Ethan Wild in a dog collar match to settle this once and for all.
Which, if you are watching at home and saying, what is a dog collar match? Good news. This is a custom creation from Walter. All those points that he's been saving, he spent making not one but 2 new gimmick matches. And I, for one, cannot wait to see what this dog collar match entails. That is, and I mean, I think the fans are as well. Look at that near 6-star rating. This is a match of the night, to be sure. And Craig Opley now on his way to being a face of the company. You do love to see it. But we move.
Indeed.
Yeah, we move forward. You've only got the one holy shit moment so far. You're hoping for number 2 with this women's championship match. The championship, of course. Tell me about these 3 women and how they found themselves in this match competing for the title.
So Aiko Haruka and Empress Kabuki, obviously back from New Year's Slam. They are the ones that feuded over the women's title. Empress Kabuki coming out on top. And at the first week of the weekly shows, Empress Kabuki, the second week, she put out a bit of an open challenge. She said, listen, anyone who wants to come face me for this belt, come on, let's see who you got. And Mei Fukushima is the one who answered the call. She also lost to the Empress. I wouldn't say it was a terrible match, but in a valiant effort. And I have rewarded both Mei and Aiko with another shot here at the Empress on pay-per-view. I'm giving Kabuki a little bit of a disadvantage by giving her multiple opponents. She doesn't have to be the one that's pinned to lose the championship. So maybe one of these challengers are going to rip the belt off of her.
Xander, do you buy that?
Ooh, do I buy that? That's a great question. I don't think I do. I think Empress keeps it.
I gotta be honest, I think the Empress can handle both of them. This is a face of the company, a demon to be sure, a 4-4 who is only 25 years old. I think you bring this heel to the moon, and you only make her more impressive by having her beat 2 faces here.
Absolutely. The faces, they're going to put up a valiant effort, but ultimately Empress Kabuki is going to win. And she's already annoyed with me. She's asking me, give me a real foe. Give me a real challenger. Give me someone that can make me sweat. So I've got some work here to do to try and figure out an opponent that is going to be worthy of her greatness.
Yeah, well, you've got some good news and some bad news here. I think the good news, that is a holy shit moment for Empress Kabuki slapping the taste out of Mei Fukushima's mouth before they both start brawling. A nice boost to the women's championship right there. And also it's a hot match, which means they all got that overness boost, that all got the hype boost, which is very big for your pay-per-view, ultimately bringing in those fans that you're looking for. It is under a 5-star match, which I honestly find kind of fascinating. I felt like with a triple threat like this, and with the talent of the people here, and the fact that the match went as well as it did, I think that is a little bit stingy from the game. But ultimately, if you can get a holy shit moment, a 5+ star match, and a hot match that furthers some feuds going, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And the Empress Kabuki certainly ready for whoever is thrown her way moving forward. But we do have now a tag match. There's no title on the line here, Walter. What is it that brings these 2 tag teams against each other tonight?
Here's the thing. We need to start working towards who is going to face Down Under for the belts. They've beaten Hollywood Bound twice. Who's next in line? And perhaps it is Prodigious, would actually be called Prodigy, but I already have the faction called Prodigy, but Prodigious with their manager Tyson Morriso against Neon Wings. And Neon Wings has already picked up a win against Prodigious on the weekly pay-per-view. In fact, the same night that Empress Kabuki beat Mei Fukushima. With that being said, the Neon Wings, they need to work on the crowd, right? They need to work on their charisma. Right now, they're just really good athletes. But they need to figure out, how can we connect with the crowd? How can we make them like us besides just doing really, risky moves?
I mean, I look at Neon Wings, right? I see these tag specialists. I see the risk takers, both of them. The gifted acrobats, both of them. They have such a clear skill set that synergizes so well with each other. And it's what makes them incredible workers. Do they need to work on their charisma? Sure. maybe they're just waiting for some talented manager to come in and do the talking for them so they can come in and do their high-flying action. I personally would like to see the Neon Wings continue this push. I want them to get a manager to help them on the mic, but oh boy, do they seem like they'd be fun to watch. What do you think, Xander? Who do you give this to?
Yeah, so I mean, if I gotta choose between Prodigious and Neon Wings, I really like Prodigious here. They're a little bit more talented. They haven't gotten a win yet. You've got Tyson Morrisseau behind them. Neon Wings, I think with a little bit more time could be good. I can absolutely see maybe that Walter's also building something where he wants to give it to Neon. But again, if this is me, I'm giving it to Prodigious.
Well, Walter, do you want to explain what's about to happen here?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I told Chase the wrong thing. It's not actually going to be DQ. It's going to be cheating.
Cheating?
Prodigious are going to win via cheating.
Okay. Prodigious cheat to get their win. You get a lively start bonus, a slight hit to cheating, but that's going to be a 5-star match that sees both a huge overness change for Prodigious and a nice one for Neon Wings. Both parties are going to benefit from this. And that's a hot feud between the two of them. Prodigious and Neon Wings now much more likely to give hot matches moving forward. And look at that holy shit moment. Jordan Wolf reversing Ace Carter's finisher, cursed at him and then hit his own. That's your third holy shit moment of the night, and a big one to grab in a match that otherwise would not have had, people can say, right? Like, there's no belt on the line, there's no gimmick, but this is how you make a match that people are really interested in, and there's a reason that it's got that 5-star rating.
Comes across well, and Prodigious.
Yeah, and I think doing it via DQ helps as well, right? Because no one's going to be looking at the Neon Wings negatively as a result of the loss. All they're going to say is, I want more of these high-flying acrobats facing off against each other. And I certainly would love to see that as well. But, Walter, we move on to an Intercontinental match that is a fascinating one to see on the card, because these two have faced off against each other a little bit in the recent past, have they not?
Yes, they have. This is again another payback match from the opening pay-per-view that saw Keiichi Sakurai beat Kenzo Nai for the Intercontinental Championship. They did, Kenzo Nai, one of the things, he came to me after the pay-per-view and said, hey, can I just win my next singles match? I need to get a win back. So he beat Guru Sanji, their tag teams feuding against each other, Strong Style and the Profits, again, coming in from the indie scene. And then, I gave Nai a rematch last week on the weekly show in a submission match. He came to me, he said, hey, I got my win back. Listen, I really want Sakurai again. He lost. And Sakurai is the one who came to me and said, hey, listen, like, I want to be done with this kid. Like, can we move on, right? I want to be over with him. Let me get him at the pay-per-view, and let me face him in an Iron Man match. Yeah. And if the champion asks for something, like, I'm not going to tell him no.
Right.
So that's why we have Sakurai and Nai here in the Iron Man match to see who can win. Iron Man matches, it's multi-falls. It's over a period of time. How many falls you can get in that time limit. And, I got to give the champ what he asked for.
It's very fair. Xander, what do you prioritize in a match like this? Because I think there are two trains of thought that you could easily talk yourself into here.
I mean, right now, you've got Kenzo, who is at that 8-10 margin. Losing here does risk, of course, you can have a great match with Keiichi, and because he's the title holder, but again, the overness, right? 72%. You got a 3-3 guy who could become a 4-4 guy rapidly. He's also, they're both young, but I think that Keiichi doesn't really have a whole lot here to, that if he loses, it's not that bad, right? Morale hit, probably not that noticeable. The overness hit, probably not that noticeable. And even though his, he's 777, but again, I think the upside to pushing your other guy into that 4-4 margin is just higher. So I would prioritize Kenzo, though I understand if it goes to Keiichi.
I understand what you're saying. I'm going to argue the other side of the coin here, and not just because I love playing devil's advocate in a moment like this, but I'm looking at that popularity, right? if Keiichi Sakurai becomes a main eventer, not only does he become more prestigious by winning a match like this and cement himself as someone to watch moving forward, but the belt becomes more prestigious. The Intercontinental Champion is not just someone who is very good, like an upper mid-carder. This is something that a main eventer can hold and defend. He's opted into this Iron Man match, and I am inclined to give it to him. I know Kenzo Nai is close, and I can understand that temptation, but I think Keiichi Sakurai is closer to a threshold, and I think that main event threshold is going to pay off in the long run. Walter, which one of us is right?
Case, your instincts would be correct here. Keiichi Sakurai will win this match. It'll be a 3-2 match. 4-1 as it says here. He has just absolutely dominated Kenzo Nai. And I can tell you right now, Kenzo Nai, came back through the curtain. He is besides himself. He just walked into the locker room and he slammed the door. So if I can get a word with him in a moment, I will. But right now, he is just overcome, with the fact that he has not been able to beat what is now becoming his main rival.
I mean, here's the thing. It's a hot match between the two of them, which means that Kenzo Nai actually is more over with the crowd as a result. He's not quite hot yet. He's not quite over with the fans, but he's only 4 percentage points away. So you didn't lose what that's building there, and you didn't lose any popularity. What you got was Keiichi Sakurai becoming a main eventer, and what you got is a holy shit moment. Your third in a row here, which is quite nice. Keiichi Sakurai with a suplex from the apron through a table outside. I think that does a really great job of positioning both elements you're looking at, right? Keiichi Sakurai is now a mid-800s main eventer who is now 3-0 and is a person to beat. And Kenzo Nai is still quite solid. I think you can feed a couple, maybe... I don't want to say less important, but you know what I mean. Like some wrestlers that can maybe take a little bit of a hit. Kenzo Nai becomes a 4-4, and the next match may be that much better. I like what you're building here, Walter, and I'm glad the game agrees.
Xander, what was that wrestler you wanted to get rid of?
Kenny Diaz.
Send Kenny Diaz over here. I got somebody that wants to face him.
Yeah, sure. You know what? You can give him a call. He lost his belt. He got beat up 2 matches in a row, back to back.
He's available, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
he's available.
Yeah. We'll sell him on the cheap. If you want to take him right now, give me a call.
Oh man.
Give me a call when your card's over.
I love this. There is a trade mechanic for the record. We can talk about it after the show because we've still got 2 more matches to go, and 2 matches I'm very excited by because we have the Theodore Vincent Heritage Title Championship. Walter, tell me about these lovely contestants here. Especially, I believe one of them, we've seen some story development on the weekly shows that people might want to hear.
We absolutely have. So we have the Theodore Vincent Heritage title. It is currently held by Cobra Gaston, who won it in a battle royale at New Beginnings. At New Year's Slam, I apologize, New Year's Slam, because that was one of my yearly goals. Him win a Major Battle Royale. So I put the belt on him. And as we've seen through the weekly programming, that him and Livia Scribner had become a bit of an item. After his win, she was seen backstage congratulating him. The rest of the Scribner clan wasn't around. But in the last few weeks, 3 weeks ago, the Gastons did fight his current opponent, Virginia Warbler and Ray Sangre. It was one of those, the Heritage Cup is supposed to be about younger talent. And Cobra Gaston is, a slightly younger talent, right? He's not super young, but at 23, he's still kind of at the younger end of the spectrum. And the intention was that we were going to open the show with the Mildred Robinson Cup, and we were going to end the show with the Theodore Vincent Heritage title. Unfortunately, Christopher Devlin's attorney reached out to me and told me that because he is the world champion, that is not allowed. Only he is allowed to end the show, or unless he tells me he wants to open the show because he wants to catch his flight. So unfortunately, in this instance, he said, no, I want to close this show. We'll get to his storyline in a little bit. But the Virginia Warbler Cobra Gaston story, another one that has come from the Indies. They used to be friends. They're still friends, but Virginia doesn't really like that Livia Scribner has been sort of hanging around him. So he came to us. He requested that he be the one that Cobra Gaston has to prove himself again. Hence why we have this match.
I mean, I think it's a fascinating one. Xander, what are your thoughts as you look at these two competitors?
Yeah, I mean, Virginia Warbler, love the name, first of all. It's just, it's a great name, okay? You of course got someone who's not like right there on the overness, but on their way up. The morale, of course, the thing to be concerned about here. It is literally on that morale cusp. And then you've of course got Cobra, who's I almost said sponsored by, but
sponsored
represented by Livia, with Livia Scribner. Okay, and again, you got a 23-year-old face. Okay, work rate obviously a little bit there, but you're so close on that overness, and you're close on that popularity. I don't want to say, hey, you're sacrificing Virginia here, but I think you keep it with Cobra and hope that Virginia gets some benefit to being in this match is what I would say.
You didn't want to say you sacrificed Virginia here. I'll say it. I think you sacrificed Virginia here because I think Cobra Gaston is 4 points away from being over, and a 3-4 is a lot better than a 2-3 if you're going to have him on a belt. Like if you want to have a higher prestige person, someone with a higher work rate, I think that's fine. I don't think Virginia Warbler is the answer there as a 3-2. You're just giving yourself some extra steps. And I think given the storyline we've seen with Livia, I think this goes to Cobra here. Are we right in that assessment there, Walter?
You are going to be correct. Virginia is being sacrificed to Cobra. Cobra was very apprehensive about wanting to take this match, but Livia, convinced him. You got to do it. You got to prove that you are better than your brother, that you are better than Warbler. Warbler and Viper Gaston, good friends. Both are slightly older, have acted as older brothers, literally and figuratively to Cobra, and Cobra's the one with the championship. It's his time to shine. With that being said, Kenzo Nai did just come storming out of his room, and I just asked him, how he was feeling after the match, and he said he just made a call, and he's going to have help next time. So we'll see what that means. But with that being said, I do believe it is time for Christopher Devlin and the main event.
I think it is too. It's unfortunate. It's only a little over a 4-star event on that one. I think Virginia Warbler maybe has taken too much of a hit recently for Cobra Gaston to get quite the bump that you were looking for. But I do think that it is a very good spot overall for Cobra to be in. And we are in this main event. Christopher Devlin, you said he made a call. He said, I am the main eventer. I'm not going to be anywhere in the card but last because I am the reason that people are tuning in. And he's going up against Axel Dust. Tell us, how did this match come to be?
So here's the thing, right? So after Christopher Devlin's win at New Year's Slam, they opened the show, the first weekly show, a tag match between Christopher Devlin, Assassino, versus Axel Dust and Kevin Bates. Axel Dust came to me and he was disappointed he wasn't on New Year's Slam. And he said, hey, what's it going to take for me to get on the next pay-per-view? And I said, well, you know what, kid? Go ahead and try and impress me. Let me throw you out against the world champion and his bodyguard. And while they did not win, while Axel Dust did lose, he did give me enough to tell him I would include him in the Battle Royale main event the following. And the winner of that Battle Royale, which included Axel Dust, Assassino, Anthony Scribner, Jace Scribner, Bryce Sun, Ray Gray, Devontae Harrell, Wesley Lee Morris, and Tyler Dynamite, he was victorious. Personally, I actually expected Wesley Lee Morris or Tyler Dynamite to win, but Axel Dust won and earned his right to face Christopher Devlin, who again is not very happy with me, thinks that, if I can't find him proper competition, he shouldn't have to compete at all. But he is here. I did pay him. I gave him a little bit of a bonus to show up for this pay-per-view. And he is here to wrestle Axel Dust.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Christopher Devlin. I see the Hitman. I see his popularity. He wants to be a face of the company. He needs to be a face of the company. He believes he should already be the face of the company, and that the audience just hasn't figured it out yet. And when I look at that 4-4, and I look at his overness, I look at what he is capable of in the ring, I worry for Axel Dust. He may have bitten off more than he can chew. Do you think there's a potential upset here, Xander?
Do I think there's a potential upset here? I mean, it's Christopher Devlin, man. This guy is just so talented, and Axel Dust isn't on the level yet. Again, I think you're building something good here, but I don't think he's on the level yet. You don't want to take too much away. This guy is close to being a face of your company. He's got the backing of Assassino, who, like I said, is someone that our promotion looked at grabbing. Okay? This dude's got to take it. He's got it. He's just got it.
Are we right, Walter? Is this a Devlin win?
You are absolutely correct. I'm sorry, Axel Dust. You're just not there yet. You're not strong enough to beat Christopher Devlin with the assistance of his bodyguard, Assassino.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, though. That's an over a 5-star match, thanks to a nice, lively start. That is Christopher Devlin, who is on his way to being a face of the company, which you love to see. And you love to see a hot match, which boosts their overness quite a bit.
And a holy shit moment. Let's go.
A holy shit moment. Look, Christopher Devlin hitting Axel Dust with the lariat that knocked his head off. That is 3, 4, 5 holy shit moments, the most you've ever gotten in a pay-per-view. I think this card was a big one. I think this was a leap forward. And let's see if the judges agree. They sure do. That is 5.25.
Tie it up with me.
You tie Xander for second in the night, which means for me, the only thing that matters. Oh, come on! Are you kidding me with these fans? This is why. This is why we're not using fans anymore as a measurement, folks. Because I need the game to explain to me why you had 808,000 people watching your pay-per-view event, despite the fact that I was ahead of you in fans heading into this, and I scored better than you at the event. And how did Walter lose fans when he had as good a show as you? That's insane. That's insane. I just gotta
say that, it's really good to continue being on top.
No.
I think that the game recognizes greatness, and we'll take our 49.9 thousand fans, and it's great. It's all good. Everything's great. Everything's fantastic.
My only solace with all of this is that we all agreed before this that because the fan change can sometimes bug out, that we are going purely by rating and performance of the card, because I could not handle the sacrilege that the game has thrown at my way, that I have the best card of the night and gain 1/10 of the fans that you do. Whatever algorithm led to that result is wrong. It is incorrect. I will be calling up the developer on the Discord and figuring out what led to this sacrilege. And
Chase, I don't understand your bitching, because I tied for second and lost almost 20,000 fans. You don't get the bitch. No, you gained fans. I'm nipping at your heels, and I lost quadruple what you gained.
To be clear, that's bullshit too. I want to be on the record. I think that's fucking absurd. I think there's no reason that Xander should be gaining more than maybe a couple thousand fans more than you, and only because you dropped to a 6 reputation faction as a result of the weekly shows and the first pay-per-view. I think that's insane. But I think if my card is the best card of the night and I gain 1/10 of the fans, This is broken. It's broken for you. It's broken for me. It's This is sacrilege. This is sacrilege.
I think I just hear a lot of hating. Okay, on the greatness of Warrior Go Home, and this game may or may not favor me a little bit in some of these things that have gone down. But at the end of the day, I didn't win on stars, but I did win. Okay, and just like cheating happens in some of our finishes. I've cheated tonight and I've won, and that's the way it is. Okay, so obviously when we score this later, Chase, you get to win. You get to say you won. Okay, but I'm still going to remind you that technically I won. And no matter what, whenever you're talking about this pay-per-view, there's gonna be an asterisk there, and I'm gonna point to this moment. Okay, and you just gotta live with that.
I'm mad for both Walter and myself. I'm only complaining on my behalf because I think Walter does a good enough job of defending himself.
I don't need your pity.
No, you don't. But what we need is the game to make some fucking sense. But here's the thing. This is why we all agreed that popularity as a method in and of itself is not the way we're measuring this competition. So you take your asterisk, you hold on to it for as much as it is worth to you, my friend, because in the standings that we're keeping track of, I just secured my second point. I am taking a 2-1 to 0-0 lead as we head into our next set of weeklies. And I don't have to care about your fan, whatever. The fans can be wrong. The fans can be dumb. The fans can go and waste their time and money on an inferior product. That's their choice. That's their prerogative. Okay. But the fans who understand good wrestling are hanging out with me and the lead that I've built, and I'm going to take that to the bank. So shout out to you, Walter. Most improved for sure. That is a huge boost for you in terms of our total point standings for the end of the year.
Oh, don't you fucking patronize me. Don't you patronize me.
I'm not patronizing you. I have 3 tallies here, right? We have the individual matches. We have the total points for the year, and you were behind in that to this point. You need every star you can get, and you got it tonight. I think that's going to matter in the long run. I'm not
all I can do. All I can say. Fans at home, tune into New Beginnings. Tune into New Beginnings, because not only will you see Craig Opley and Ethan Wilde in the first dog collar match that any of these promotions have put on. The dog collar match. I'll give you guys a spoiler at home. You're going to take 2 dog collars. You're going to put them around the neck of the 2 competitors. And then you're going to put a chain from one dog collar to the other. There's nowhere you can run. Not only will you see that, but you will also see which member of the SWA roster can reach and grab the brass ring. And that's all I have left to say. I mean, it's been a good night. Yeah. I will take my victory with pride.
Yeah.
And when you guys, inevitably get bored and turn that off and want to watch something else, come watch us. And, I won't call you stupid.
Wow.
And that's myself.
Well, I think with that, we're going to have to call it to a close because it is asking for Eduardo to make some decisions, and we're going to have to process that at a later point in time. But for now, you make the call as you will. And if you're watching the YouTube video here, leave us a comment. Let us know. Do you think that we are wrong to throw fan hype out the window and that we should be using that rather than ratings, despite the impact that would put on Eduardo, who is not here to defend himself in that regard? Are you happy to tune in to what Magically Enhanced Wrestling has to offer? Are you looking at Walter's card and the continuous increases there and want to see what that dog collar match has in store for us? Let us know in the comments. We want to hear from you. We will be back. We've got 3 more weeklies coming up between now and what will be our biggest pay-per-views of the year so far. Our first gold pay-per-views of the year for our factions. And you know what? Xander's not going to be able to hide behind some very high faction feuds to artificially inflate his results. And we'll see how that holds up.
Yeah, okay.
But for now, thank you all so much for watching. We will be back in 2 weeks. And until then, goodbye, Internet.